15 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton, on this final day of January? Thanks so much for being with us here on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. I come at you from Los Angeles, where the Rams are in the Super Bowl. Mark comes at us from what we like to call the cozy confines or the chilly. Is it officially cold confines this morning?
It's cold, David. When the first number's a 3, I think it qualifies as cold.
I do too, especially in Florida. Mark, I'm going to say something that for a great many people, they have never lived in this reality before, including our young Felipe. The Cincinnati Bengals are in the Super Bowl.
David, or as my friend who's a big Bengals fan was referring to it after about 17 bourbons in a group chat, it became the Uber Bowl at one time. The Upper Bowl, it was called several things, but you are right. The Cincinnati Bengals are in the Super Bowl, prompting messages all through the night from my two Bengals fans. 5 a.m. He knew I was up with his baby, and I just can't believe it text at 5 a.m.
For those that are just getting acquainted with Miller and Moulton in the morning on the Florida Sports Network, I, David Moulton, am one in which I feel every fan base should have a parade. I am all for the team that has never won before to come out of nowhere and win, even if it's just one time. And Mark, I got some stuff written down here. I believe the Bengals at the start of the year were 200-1 to win the Super Bowl. An even bigger underdog to win the Super Bowl than the St. Louis Rams were with Kurt Warner and the greatest show on turf, coming off a series of losing seasons, and then the backup quarterback coming in 1999 to lead the way. They were a mere 150-1.
Cincinnati Bengals had the first overall pick a couple of years ago.
Two years ago. They got mocked for the coach they hired. Zach Taylor, hire another young, pretty-looking coordinator. Who the hell is this guy? Zach Taylor. And what are they doing this past year, Mark? Taking the wide receiver. Take the tackle.
Tackle from Oregon. That was the play, David. You and I both knew it.
Come on now. What are you doing? Got to protect Joe Burrow. It's awesome. I will say, and I think it's because both the Rams and the 49ers fan bases, and it was as close to a 50-50 crowd, Mark, as you can get this side of the cocktail party.
Well, that's for later, because I have many a question about that.
But, at SoFi, for those that aren't familiar, they have a circular scoreboard that goes from goal line to goal line. And there are many different screens that can be displayed along that circle. And so for the most part, it was a split screen leading up to kickoff of the NFC Championship game. Half of it was, sights and sounds from the NFC title game. And the other half was the Bengals and the Chiefs. Well, all of a sudden in the third quarter, Mark, And the Niners fans got there early. I mean, this place was filling up far earlier than a stadium normally fills up. And all of a sudden, Mark, we turn around. There are roars as the Bengals put up those 11 points in the third quarter to tie the game at 21. And it's like, these fan bases think that the pretty little Bengals are going to be a lot easier to beat in the Super Bowl, don't they? And they kept that game on that screen. Remember, this game goes overtime. We're getting within about 20 minutes of kickoff for the NFC Championship game.
You passed the window into pregame, if you know what I mean.
Correct.
You guys didn't get the full pregame from the standpoint of when the game ended. You wanted that top of the hour pregame. You didn't get it. You got it 6, 7, 8 after.
And yeah, nobody's watching Howie and Terry and Jimmy. Right.
No.
Right. And so when interception, the roar, I mean, this stadium's 90% full when Mahomes gets picked off. And then, I mean, they're cheering first downs like it's their own team. And remember, they're both the San Francisco and Los Angeles fan bases who agree on nothing, who do not like each other in multiple sports, are cheering in unison 1,500 miles away for the Bengals. And then they win. Now, I'm not going to say it sounded like it did when the Rams sealed the game with the interception with 1:10 to go. But let me tell you, it was a roar that came from SoFi when the Bengals won. I thought it was just one of the, for lack of a better word, one of the neater things that I had seen or heard in a while.
I don't like to say unbelievable, but to watch what this Bengal team did, yesterday wasn't unbelievable, but the totality of what the Bengals accomplished is bordering on the unbelievable, David.
It really is. It really is.
And not that we should have known, but literally to do this twice to a team that offensively we think is damn near unstoppable. Go in with this young quarterback and make this comeback. And, and then their defense playing an unbelievable little goal line stand towards the end when it looks as if they may lose this thing. And, oh, yeah, by the way, just in case everybody wanted to make sure the divisional round was, that good, we just tried to top it on championship weekend. Holy Toledo. 6 of the best NFL games back to back that anybody's ever experienced.
Remember, this Chiefs team, who not only scored touchdowns on its first 3 possessions of the day, but we still had fresh in our mind what they had just done to what was the number 1 pass defense in the NFL, i.e. the Buffalo Bills. And the Cincinnati Bengals are like, we got this. We just, we got off to a rough start. They hit us with a couple of big right hands. But, we survived the opening 2 rounds. We're getting into the 4th and 5th rounds here. We're going to be okay. Listen, there's a part of Andy Reid in which he's obviously a great coach. You have to be a great coach in order to lose 6 conference championship games, because that means you had to get your teams to 6 conference championship games. And think about it. He's been to 9. He's 3-6. But Mark, kick the damn field goal. Come on. How arrogant are you? 21-10, 5 seconds to go, no timeouts left. How arrogant do you have to be?
You're in the lead. You're not losing the football game with the opposition getting the ball to start the second half. You're leading the game, and you're going to get the ball to begin the second half.
I mean, come on.
No. I mean, just Simple terms here. And look, David and I aren't stupid. We get it. You get the touchdown there, that would be 3 scores. If you were to get a touchdown and start second half, it's 4 scores and the game's over. I get it. But we've been watching these games now for a while, whether it's regular season or postseason. And we've seen team after team sacrifice points at a half and have it come back and cost them dearly.
Just the week before at Lambeau Field, Packers screw up the blocking on what should be a routine 30-something yard field goal. It gets blocked, and instead of being up 10-0 at the half, they're only up 7-0. The Niners gave them a lot of juice. The difference between being down 1 score or 2. Come on. I mean, it's when coaches do things like that when you have no rooting interest in the game, even though, I'll be honest, I was rooting for the Bengals. I said it on Friday when we made our picks. I picked the Chiefs and the Niners. I'm rooting for the Bengals and the Rams for what they both represent. Never been happier to be 0-2. But the minute he passes up the field goal, well, now I feel like I'm a Bengals fan. I'm all in on the Bengals winning this thing now. I'm sorry. If you're going to be that arrogant and that stupid, you should lose.
It's the second. I'm done with the arrogance. This is stupid. This is analytics run amok, David. I don't know how else to describe it because I'm done getting incredulous during games. Those days have passed me of yelling at the TV, but I just sat there and to basically no one went, okay. Because I was rooting for the Bengals. I thought the Chiefs were going to win. I thought they were going to win by 10, or I did. Okay, I was wrong. So what? But I have 2 good friends who are diehard Bengals fans. The ones that are texting at 5 a.m. going, can you believe this?
It's so great.
One that's still probably drinking bourbon. I wanted people that I know to be happy. But when you don't kick that at the end of the half, it's not arrogance, David. It's stupidity. Are we watching these games? Did they watch the week before? Did they not see that at the end of the day, these games are going to be really close? 3 points matter. Take your analytics and throw them in the trash at this point. Get the points. Does analytics factor in the mentality of either team going into the locker room? I doubt it.
Just to give you an idea, for those of you that watched the NFC Championship game, the game was tied mid-4th quarter, and the Niners had a 4th and 2.5 on the Rams' 45-yard line. 4th and 2.5. Tie game. Winner goes to the Super Bowl. Analytics said, go for it. By nearly 3%. That's analytics. Any of you thought the Niners, when they came out there and tried to draw them off sides, were any of you watching the game going, well, I really hope they go for it here. It's a smart play. According to analytics, it was. Gave you a 3% better chance of winning the game. Really? Okay. That's analytics. Miller and Moulton. The Bengals and the Rams. Who had that when the weekend started? Who had that when January started? We won't even get into who had that Labor Day weekend. Please. Great show lined up for you. We'll head to Cincinnati. There was another big story, Mark, in the sports world before yesterday's championship games.
Or was it a big story?
We will get to it on the other side. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? From Los Angeles and Southwest Florida, we are Miller and Moulton, and this is the Florida Sports Network.
We've hit the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, still has huge cash prizes up for grabs.
This week, new customers can get on the game and play free for millions with their first deposit. There are only a few weeks of football left, So draft your squad now.
Playing daily fantasy football is simple. Just pick your lineup of NFL stars, staying under the salary cap, and score enough points to bring home cash.
And with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes, you'll feel the action of the divisional round like never before.
DraftKings, safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want.
Download the DraftKings app now and use the promo code M&M to play free for millions. That's right. Enter promo code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. Get in the action for the divisional round only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Wow. I got to tell you, David, this NBC front page is looking a lot more. We're not as sleepy of a city anymore. COVID freeze warning, house fire, one indigent shooting in North Fort Myers, 1 dead, 2 arrested in Sarasota shooting, 2 dead in a murder-suicide. Hell of a morning here. Good gracious.
Who says no one's crushing Mahomes? I mean, if Ryan Tannehill at the end of regulation had been that carefree with the football,
Not off the top of my head, Brown Chicken. Related to Mojo Nixon? David, do you know a Jeff Nixon?
I've heard of him. Isn't he an on-air talent? So it's 3:18 in the morning where I am, Brown Chicken. You got to help me out a little bit.
Yeah, Rafa was vintage Rafa, David.
Is that the other sports story?
No, would be the Brady guy retiring.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Or not retiring.
You know, I even was told like 3 times, I bet you're going to talk about that on Monday, Phil. And I was like, yeah, most likely.
You were on the plane. Cassio had to talk to somebody. He was losing his mind. He was losing his mind. You know, John, with the sources. This had him just...
Sure.
And ESPN is doubling and tripling and quadrupling down. I want Brady to play 1 more year just to spite ESPN. I don't know him then. No. If that's who that is. No idea. I've never met him. And guys, it ain't our studio. I know you guys keep saying that. We don't work for this company. We're here for 4 hours a morning and they don't want us here. And as soon as we can be in another studio, trust me, we will be.
Okay. So okay, once again, no one's telling us the story. Is there a point to Jeff Nixon? Is he a Bengals fan? What? I mean, could somebody get to the point?
Someone just asked if we knew him because he works here, David. I think that's all it is.
Oh,
We don't know anybody that works here.
no,
Work
we
here,
really
guys.
don't. We know the production guy. He's a great guy.
Yeah, across the hall. Roger.
Oh, I was thinking Rick Peterson down the
Oh,
hall.
Rick Peterson.
But we
too.
do know Roger across the hall, Rick Peterson down the hall.
And the new girl who works for K-Rock, I think is the assistant program director, seems to be really, really, really nice. What's her name? Mila? Hey, Felipe, what's her name down the hall?
Thank you.
Mira? She's got a peculiar name.
Oh my God. Maria.
There you go, Maria.
Yep.
She's very, very nice.
Yeah, Maria is very nice.
She is.
Of all, she is the only person here that I didn't know before I worked here the previous time that has actually gone out of her way
10 seconds
to be friendly to us.
Right. She didn't get the memo.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour in a cold Sunshine State. I'm in California, though, after the NFC Championship game. Rams finally ending the losing streak against the Niners. Picked a good time to do it. And the Cincinnati Bengals. A couple of 4 seeds, Mark. One team out of nowhere. One team who's all in. It's as if the NFL said, we need to set things up for the future. Things are going to be changing around here. But we need to provide, what is it that Pat Kerwin guy says?
Winning or hope.
There you go. So we're going to provide both. We're going to take the team that's expected to win, and then we're going to take a team in which people are going to go, who the hell's on that team besides that quarterback they drafted a couple of years ago? Got a couple receivers. They look like they could be entertaining. I like the stripes on the helmets and the sides of their pants. Wait, the Super Bowl? That's right. But Mark, there was a fairly big sports story that took place on the Saturday of this past weekend.
Yeah, I realized you must have been on a flight when it broke because our former producer had an out-of-body experience. Because, David, I was not sitting around Saturday afternoon at 4:30 glued to Twitter. In fact, there wasn't a television on in my house. I had already watched a little college hoop. I had since turned off the basketball and was, dare I say it, spending some time with my family.
No, have we gotten to that part of the football season?
We have.
Oh,
When my phone started vibrating.
Vibrating?
Well, I don't have it on. I just have it
Right.
on vibrate. So the phone just starts buzzing over there on the table. And I look and I've got not one, not two, but 3 messages with a lot of expletives and a lot of capital letters.
And the crux
Holy
of it
blank.
is,
I mean, the first one was just this. Holy blank, the Brady retirement could be false. Mind you, I didn't know about the Brady retirement at this point.
that was a couple of phone buzzings ago.
Right.
You weren't paying attention. You're right, Mark. I left Southwest Florida mid-morning and flew to Dallas and had about 2 hours to lay over and then flew from Dallas to Los Angeles. And, all in all, it took about 8 hours for everything to take place. When I got into LA, it was still 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific, have to admit. All right, plenty of time to still go do stuff. But yes, and along the way, I believe I was in Dallas when I was first getting wind. No, I was on the plane to Los Angeles. Yes, the flight had yet to take off, and I am getting texts saying that Tom Brady is retiring. Well, that's unexpected.
Right.
Hope you didn't renew your Bucks club seats.
I haven't even had the chance to yet. And trust me, I think I'll be passing.
But then, of course, well, Tom Brady, if in fact he is retiring, does not want this news coming out the day before the conference championship games and taking any of the luster off of the two games yesterday. So immediately the denials start from the Brady camp, if you will. His dad, in fact, even went on a radio station out west, because I believe they live in Northern California, and he said, listen, Tom hasn't made his decision. Trust me, we would know.
Tommy hasn't made his decision. When Dad talks, it's Tommy.
And so I'm not believing the denials. And here's why. There was a little story that came out Friday night is when I saw it. Just a little story in which the New York Post said, maybe, just maybe, there may be more to Tom Brady retiring than we believe, because his longtime assistant is apparently calling around other elite quarterbacks going, hey, you need an assistant? And that was the first time that I went,
That was the tell. That was the tell, David. I'm with you. I read that. You read it Friday night. I read it early Saturday morning and went, uh-oh. I better call my ticket rep in Tampa and say, don't hit that card so fast.
Right. Just hold on there, my friend. Hold on. Can I get back to you? Do I have some time here? But there was a part of me, Mark, that thought, maybe Brady's just doing him a courtesy that at this point in time, Tom genuinely doesn't know. And he doesn't want him to be caught off guard if a month from now that Tom decides, what, I think I am hanging it up. So he says to the guy, listen, would hate to lose you, but you're a friend. I care about you. If you can get another gig, go get it. And I support you, and I'll make do for a year or so without you. But so that was the first inkling. And then the news hits on Saturday. I will say, I didn't realize Tom Brady was dying, because the national media, going to let you in on a little secret. The obits on all the famous people who die, yeah, they're all done years in advance. They're sitting on shelves labeled, okay? Howard Hessman, right there it is. It's on the shelf. The only thing they have to change is if the person continues to live, and they have to change at the end. He was 81. Maybe it was edited when he was 77, and they have to change that last part. That's it. These obits are done years in advance. Boy, Mark, word gets out, Tom Brady's retiring. All of a sudden, just testimonials, these 13-minute long pieces are all of a sudden just boom, they're there, right there. I'm like, wow, you guys didn't waste any time with this, huh?
The footage is all still there. There's a pretty good Tom folder, David.
I guess. But wow, the body's not even cold. Man. Now, I will say, yesterday, there were a few people close to Brady going, that report might be a little premature. I will say, Mr. Schefter and Mr. Darlington and a few others there from the Four Letter Network, they're not backing down.
They are not backing. That was the first thing I noticed when I got up Sunday morning. I turned on the TV a little earlier than normal Sunday, because I try to keep the television in our house off as much as possible unless it's an actual live game, particularly on the weekends. But yesterday morning, I'm like, well, let's see what's going on. And they were doubling and tripling down with the tribute stories, with the tweets from everybody, with the reactions from everyone. Try to get outside, talk to a couple people in the New England area with some snow in the background. Let's see how we can jazz this up as much as possible. But they did not back down. They didn't even really report, David, any of the people who were saying, well, I'm not sure. They just basically skipped those stories and said those people are wrong. Our two guys are right. Anything else that out there is incorrect. And didn't even hint as if there was a possibility that this may not happen. Be a lot of egg on their face if Tom, just to spite him, decided to play one more year.
Well, let me tell you, when your entire line of work is providing breaking news information on the National Football League, and one of the biggest stories that you'll ever report on in your career, you get wrong, that really hurts the old career. Now, I don't know if it would cost Adam Schefter his job, but I got to admit, I wouldn't feel real good if I was Jeff Darlington, because somebody's got to get thrown overboard.
Yep.
So I hope for both their sakes they're right, even though I wanted one more year from TB12. Whoo. Miller and Moulton. So we'll see. Right now, what do you have to do? You have to go forward as a fan and as a team, even though the Bucs immediately called Brady. Is there any truth to this? No? You're saying no? Okay. And I'm sure they hung up the phone and they're like, we got to come up with a plan B.
And a plan C and a plan D. In fact, we need to just start planning.
I'm not saying that I trust Adam Schefter's word over Tom Brady on a story about Tom Brady, but let's just say he wasn't convincing on the phone, okay? We got Blaine Gabbert and Kyle Trask on the depth chart at quarterback. What are we going to do?
You know what? What do the analytics tell us, David? That's whatever the analytics tell us.
Go for it, Mark. That's what they say.
Go
bypass field goals and just go for it.
We'll go for the starting five on the other side. Thank you so much for listening. David is in LA. I'm back here in our Southwest Florida studios, and you are listening to the Florida Sports Network. For the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Any NFL in the starting five. If it's okay, I'd like to include some NFL in the starting five. Mark, you could probably tilt that camera down if you wanted. It would show more of you and less above you. There you go. That's good. Yeah. That's a lot better.
I'll tell you what, Klecko, not after watching it. Rafa played his tail off.
Wasn't he injured recently?
Who?
Rafa.
Yeah.
When is Rafa not injured?
It's a good point.
I've got to tell you,
Probably
David,
why he juices so much.
that was one of, that was because Medvedev
Yeah, Medvedev there.
Does not play much faster than Rafa.
Right.
I mean, they would walk over and towel off.
Oh, yeah.
Rafa looks like a third base coach, by the way, before he serves. He goes each ears, the nose, and then wipes with the sweatband every time. I'm watching crap alone at 6 a.m, David. You got to leave me alone here. I got nothing. I know you're on the other coast. I'm like, I can't.
I don't blame you at all, Mark. Don't blame you at all. Tom Rinaldi set his alarm, by the way, to watch it. He's such a big tennis fan.
What it was marvelous. I watched the end, watched him break and then win the fourth, and then watched all the fifth. And I would have watched more of it because I woke up and was tossing and turning. I'm like, I'll just get up. And then, kind of walked around. I'm like, oh, crap, the Australian Open's on. By the way, that soccer match, was I right, David? Was that on Fox Soccer Plus?
I have no idea.
Well, I texted you because I didn't know because you were there. I thought maybe someone. I don't. Help me here in the chat room. Was yesterday's soccer match on any sort of regular television? Because I saw it on Fox Sports Plus on my DirecTV package, and I could not get that without paying. And we lost to Canada.
Yeah, but the coach came out and said we dominated.
Okay, we lost.
Right.
You don't dominate when you lose.
It was just on Paramount?
Wait, I didn't see it. It was on Paramount? That's where it was on live? Because I only had it on Fox Soccer Plus.
Wait, so CBS had the rights to that? I was going to say Paramount's a CBS property.
Right. They showed the last one on CBS Sportsnet, and I did not see it. Now, I could be Paramount Plus. It was on Telemundo?
First time I found myself rooting for a Russian who is not very likable.
No, he's not. He's an a-hole.
He is. He's weird looking, too. He's all arms and legs. It's like playing against a praying mantis.
I think you just, man. I was rooting for Rafa. I want to see history. Why do I want to see not history, if you know what I mean?
Right. We've always rooted for greatness. And now he's got a chance to get to 22 after all.
Right. He's only got 13 French. Okay. And I should have looked more on the Spanish TV. I was just kind of in a hurry on the spare TV. Congratulations.
SportsCenter's playing right now, and they are putting the graphic Tom Brady to retire.
Oh, all morning yesterday.
Yeah, they're.
Well, they have to. They broke the story.
Yeah.
I believe that we can lose.
15 seconds.
I believe that we can lose to Canada in soccer, not hockey.
Mark's not taking this very well. Canada's leading the group. Mark doesn't want to hear it.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. We haven't come up with a poll question yet. We will. Sometimes on a Monday morning, we're a little slow. Sometimes we need till about the top of the 7 o'clock hour. We'll get to it when we do. Make sure you go to that Mark Miller and the David Moulton on Twitter and vote accordingly. We do encourage you to watch, subscribe, follow this little show of ours on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel, because you could get some good interaction during the commercial breaks. Like, Mark, did you just fire everyone associated with U.S. men's soccer?
That and then a local university. I was firing a few people there too at the end. I'm firing a lot of people this morning, David.
See, sometimes, so one of us is sleepy and the other one of us is fired up and ready to go. That's why, we're a team.
It's the time difference, David. It's the time difference.
Yes, it is, Mark. Yes, it is.
Sleep deprived, it is now time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to say something. Make sure both hands are firmly on the wheel. Either that or maybe pull over. The Cincinnati Bengals are in the Super Bowl. Yes, in the 2021 season, the Cincinnati Bengals, 200-1 to win the Super Bowl before the season began. Those Cincinnati Bengals. They went to Kansas City and spotted the Chiefs a 21-3 lead and then said, hold my beer and brisket. 27-24 in overtime. It is the third trip to the Super Bowl in franchise history. The first two trips occurred in the 80s. Yes, that's right. Ronald Reagan was president the two seasons that the Bengals went to the Super Bowl. They'll play a road game. Well, in theory, they'll be facing the Rams at SoFi. The Rams came from 17-7 down in the fourth quarter to beat the Niners 20-17. I don't know if you saw the graphic, Mark. Were you as surprised as I that is the biggest fourth quarter comeback in the history of the conference championship games?
I was stunned. I was actually stunned.
The Seahawks trailed the Packers 7 years ago by 9 at the start of the fourth quarter in the NFC Championship game. That had been the biggest previous at the beginning of the fourth quarter deficit that any team had overcome to win. But the Rams, who had lost 6 straight to the Niners, came from behind, scored on 3 straight possessions, dominated the fourth quarter offensively and defensively, and the Rams 20-17. Did you see the 3 people, by the way, who picked both games' exact scores correctly on DraftKings and the money that they made because of it?
Well, they should.
We're talking like a $5 bet earning 6 figures, and some guy plopped down $20 and won over nearly $600,000.
Good for both of them.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Outstanding. Rams open up as 3.5-point favorites in the Super Bowl. Does that surprise you?
I thought I said 2.5 as the games were. I actually thought the Rams were going to be a 2.5-point favorite if they won, and I thought the Niners were going to be a 2.5-point dog if they won.
Rams minus 3.5, over-unders 50.5. So basically, 27-24 Rams is what Vegas is saying, give or take a 0.5 point either way. Does that sound about right to you? Think about it. You'll have plenty of time. They're not going to play this weekend. They're going to take a couple of weeks off because they're going to allow for all these teams to officially hire their coaches and general managers. And Mark, in Las Vegas's case, they're hiring both at the same time.
Yes, they are. Miami Dolphins still do not have a head coach, everybody, just in case you were wondering.
Although there was a report yesterday by one gentleman out of Chicago in which he said, I'm hearing Jim Harbaugh to the Dolphins.
Well, it's about damn time. When he interviewed for the Vikings, it's like Stephen Ross, hello. And I've kind of been saying this for a while, David. There's been so quiet. You've got to think that Harbaugh was a candidate there.
Well, we said, listen, we're not the brightest people doing a sports talk radio show. In fact, intelligence and sports talk radio very rarely go together. But Stephen Ross, if Jim Harbaugh is going to leave Michigan for an NFL team, why should it not be yours?
Yeah, and I don't think Mrs. Harbaugh wants to go to the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. If we're going to stay in the cold, can we just stay in Ann Arbor where everybody loves me all the time?
But the Raiders are just infiltrating the New England Patriots hierarchy. They are taking Director of Player Personnel Dave Ziegler to be their general manager as they bring aboard Josh McDaniels to be their head coach. Do you know how long it's been since McDaniels had that 2-year stint in Denver? I was surprised looking it up. That was 2009, 2010.
Wow, even longer than I thought. I was going to say 8-9 years. It's been 12. Holy cow.
McDaniels won his first 6 games as head coach of the Broncos and then went 5-17 over the next nearly 2 seasons. He was fired with, I think, 4 games left in his second season with a robust 11-17 record. McDaniels had long said I want to be a head coach, but I need to be comfortable with who the general manager is. Well, him and Dave Ziegler, both from the Patriots, are in fact a team, and they are heading to Las Vegas. They did work briefly together in Denver. Tom Brady reportedly retiring. I will say the Brady camp has not denied it. All right. They have, however, come out and said, I don't think he's made up his mind yet. But they haven't flat out said, no, that's false. If they have, I haven't seen it.
Nope.
I mean, Dad did say he hasn't made up his mind. I know that for a fact, is what he said. He would have told me. So, take it what you will. But I would think if TB12 is making a quick decision, he would make it this week official.
Yes.
Otherwise, he'll wait till at least after the Super Bowl. Mark, you got up and watched it. I don't know at what point you picked up the match, but Rafael Nadal turned back the clock in Melbourne. He trailed 2 sets to the second seed, Medvedev, and he was down love 40 on his serve midway through the third set. He saved 3 break points. He got out of the jam, and he said, I'll take it from here. And Rafael Nadal ends up winning 4-4 and 5 in the last 3 sets. The match only lasted 5 hours and 24 minutes. I mean, literally, it ended like right before the show started.
They are 2 rain delays in action because Medvedev challenges Nadal for slowness. I picked it up in the 4th set when I woke up. There was some spectacular tennis. It really and truly, to see Nadal grind through that the way he did was really fun to watch. And I've not been a Nadal fan. I don't recall myself rooting for him that much. I was openly, blatantly rooting for the Spaniard to get 21.
Is it because you were rooting for Nadal? You were rooting for a history? You were rooting for history?
History.
Okay. I will say the guy he
6:30 and watch. Sorry, David, but if I'm gonna get up at 6:30 and watch tennis, I don't want to see the guy who has an opportunity to become the winningest major winner ever lose.
Nadal breaks the tie with Djokovic and Federer, and now Rafa with 21 and the other 2 with 20. And of course, they head next to Paris, albeit nearly 4 months from now, where Rafa only loses, about as often as the Bengals go to the Super Bowl.
I had to laugh. There was one part about it, David, that cracked me up, though. Medvedev gets up and gives his little talk when he gets his runner-up trophy. And he thanks his team, and he thanks this guy, and he thanks that guy. And he thanks the tournament director. And he turns and he looks at the tournament director, and he says, this one a little tougher than normal?
Okay, funny's funny.
That's outstanding.
From a guy who's not very likable, by the way.
No, he's not. And it won the room. Everybody thought that was pretty funny. And he went on to say, I hope you have the job for another 10, 15 years. But that right there was a drop-dead great line.
NBA actually played games yesterday. Orlando beat the Mavs. What in the wide world of sports is going on there? 110-108. Hawks beat the Lakers 129-121. Bad loss for the Cavs. We're starting to think they're a good team. You don't lose to Detroit. They did by 10. Phoenix beat San Antonio by 5. The Suns are 40-9. Just want to point that out.
I think.
That really is, Mark. College hoops. Some good games yesterday if you were looking to kill some time before the conference championship games. A couple of ranked teams, Purdue and Ohio State. Purdue gets a late 3 to win it by 3.
They were up nearly 20 in that game at half.
Well, and CBS was just loving Purdue blowing that lead because that game's leading into their AFC championship pregame.
Right, and it did carry over by about 10 minutes in that one as well.
Right, but imagine if it had gone overtime. They would have lost half their pregame. Not that they're selling those commercials for any more than they are selling the college basketball commercials. I mean, one gets about 2 million people and the other gets about, 20. Providence edged Marquette in a fine Big East game, 65-63. Wisconsin 6 better than the Gophers, 66-60. Women's college basketball, Gators lost to number 1 South Carolina by 12. Florida State and South Florida victorious. Hockey, the Avs have won 10 in a row and went 15-0-1 in the month of January. That seems pretty good to me. They beat Buffalo 4-1. Rangers edged the Kraken 3-2. And the LA Kings got a 4-3 win over the Penguins in some of the NHL games of note. Mark, Lydia Ko won in Boca on the LPGA Tour, one better than Daniel Kang. And Victor Hovland in Dubai ends up winning in a playoff. Rory had a really good chance, and he made a late bogey. Rory is starting to throw away tournaments like, well, who's the golfer that you think chokes the most? Because Rory's having trouble finishing lately. Pay attention to that. And that, Mark, was...
That was the starting five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
What was it, List on Saturday that won the Farmers in the playoff?
Yeah, Zalatoris had a chance to win it with a birdie on 18 on the par 5, didn't get it done, lost in a playoff.
And List hit one to 4 inches in the playoff.
Right. I'll just take it from here. Thank you.
Had to love Zalatoris. I don't know if you caught the video of it, but Zalatoris right away, just arm over with a thumbs up on the shot before, because he outdrove him, because, people that are that little hit the ball farther than people that aren't somehow. But, yeah, Zalatoris had a chance. Rahm had a chance.
Yes. On a course that he has done very well at. Thank you very much.
Be interesting here now. They go to Pebble coming up, and there are so many players playing in that money grab.
Mm-hmm.
In Dubai, the field at Pebble is not very good.
No.
Because this
Getting
just
worse.
they hate playing there.
Yep.
And I know everybody hears that and go, how could you hate 6-hour Pro-Am rounds? They have no interest whatsoever.
And the weather in Northern California in February, a little unpredictable and usually cold and windy.
And you're playing a handful of courses, none of which can be that easy when you're playing in cold and windy. Not to mention, did I say it's 6-hour Pro-Am rounds every day? So,
and the greens that time of the year are really bumpy. And Mark, you and I know a few PGA Tour pros, and the one thing they hate is when they hit a good putt and it's online, and all of a sudden it's no longer online.
So just a little something with that. We will talk football throughout the day. Of the two big stories, the Super Bowl, we'll talk with Mo Egger in our 8 o'clock hour. Go to Cincinnati and check in with how things are in Houday land. And Gary Myers, who wrote the Tom Brady, Peyton Manning book, will join us also in the 8 o'clock hour about the, perhaps retirement of one TB12.
Miller and Moulton. When we come back, though, is it time to maybe talk about a certain quarterback a little differently than maybe we have? Just going to throw some facts out there and see whether or not we should be thinking differently. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. The Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
We've hit the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, still has huge cash prizes up for grabs.
This week, new customers can get on the game and play free for millions with their first deposit. There are only a few weeks of football left, So draft your squad now.
Playing daily fantasy football is simple. Just pick your lineup of NFL stars, staying under the salary cap, and score enough points to bring home cash.
And with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes, you'll feel the action of the divisional round like never before.
DraftKings, safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want.
Download the DraftKings app now and use the promo code M&M to play free for millions. That's right. Enter promo code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. Get in the action for the divisional round only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Felipe, we got to get those DraftKings spots out. I don't care what goes in there tomorrow, but we can't have those in.
I was going to say we should either re-record them or take them out.
Don't have anything to re-record.
Yeah, let's double down with something else.
Well, Jeff, he was right about it because he didn't think it was going to happen. Well, are these guys only going to get with? Well, he's when you give every possible scenario that can happen, you got to be right about one. No.
RCB, Brady's under contract. Aaron Rodgers is under contract. Russell Wilson is under contract. Well, Klecko, we'll see on Wednesday if Billy Napier's hanging with the big boys. He's doing well in the transfer portal, but we'll see if first indications as to whether he's hanging with the big boys on Wednesday.
Where's that A&M kid going to sign? You know, the kid that was going to that's the big one, right?
Yeah.
He committed. He was like the number one, the best kid out there.
Yeah. And Johnny Mac, Jimmy G is also under contract for one more year. I will say the Niners, unlikely, but they could cut him. His salary's around 26, but his guaranteed money is only like 1.4. So it's a very small cap hit if the Niners wanted to release him. I mean, why would they? They can get something for him, but I'm just saying. Also, not a guarantee, but you would think the team that is acquiring him is also thinking of then signing him to some short-term extension.
1 minute.
Because would you give up a, say, second-round pick for a one-year quarterback rental? Most teams wouldn't, unless it was an elite quarterback, of which he's not.
30 seconds. By the way, that first touchdown that the Chiefs connected on with Mahomes and Tyreek Hill was filthy.
They can be.
5 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Minute and a half past the hour, top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. We'll head to Cincinnati in an hour. Friend of the show, Mo Egger. Man, oh man, what must he be feeling right now? And if you have a Bengals fan in your life, my goodness, now's the time to hit them up for money. If they owe you money, they'll pay you now. You need them to do it. I mean, you know, if you're a wife or a girlfriend and you've got a boyfriend or a husband that's a Bengals fan, now's the time to get out the honey-do list. For the next 12 days, there is nothing they won't do for you.
Yeah, if it's a girlfriend and you want a ring, this would be the time to ask for it. Don't you think the stars are aligned, honey? The Bengals are going to the Super Bowl.
Right. 2022.
I was here with you.
Our
me I was
year.
here with you for the last time they went. Oh, I see.
I'm thrilled for some, new blood, fresh blood, whatever you want to call it. I love teams and the fan bases who haven't won in a long while that get that chance. I mean, the NFL in a way would love Mahomes or Brady or Rodgers or, the Steelers or the Cowboys. But Mark, I got to tell you, I love this Super Bowl because it is hope against all in.
And the other thing that I think needs to be recognized is that names like Joseph and Patrick and Matthew are good names. We're bringing back some old school names. So think of all the new Josephs that are coming along because of Joe Burrow.
Well, certainly in the in Ohio,
all the Patricks that we have now on the scene in the Missouri area. And all of the young men that are going to be named Matthew in the greater Detroit area because the Lions are going to the Super Bowl.
You're claiming this, are you?
I'm not. But I think Detroit is. I'm cracking up over watching the Lions fan excited over Stafford. That's how bad it is. They're taking this as a win today.
It almost feels like, they're halfway into the Super Bowl, right? Hey, Stafford's representing us, right?
No.
In fact, he asked out, but, because we can't win here. In fact, Matthew Stafford being in the Super Bowl is a bit of an indictment on the 13 years there, but that's okay. We'll get to that some other day. We don't want to ruin the mood on this fine day. It was a year ago today, by the way, that they finalized the trade for Matthew Stafford.
Seemed to work.
So far. I mean, hey, they got to this point with Jared Goff. All right. He's got to win the next one, right? So they say. Can I just ask a simple question?
Sure.
If Ryan Tannehill played the end of the first half, the second half, and the overtime the way that Patrick Mahomes did, what would Sports Talk Radio be like today?
Crushing him. I'd be crushing you. Thank you. David, let me give you some numbers that I know you like numbers, and I don't necessarily love QBR, but Mahomes' QBR in the first half was 98. That's pretty good.
Right.
His second half in OT QBR, 1.4. It's the largest gap by half in the playoffs since they've started tracking this in 2006. So to further your point, David, it is arguably the worst transition from one half to another that we've ever seen in the postseason, or at least have seen in a generation. That's how bad that was. Didn't even look the same damn guy, David.
I'll give Cincinnati as much credit as you can give them. What they have done defensively in these playoffs, quite frankly, we didn't think they could do. They have played far better than we thought they had in them. No question about that. But especially at the end of regulation, I mean, to take 2 sacks, it's unbelievable. I mean, to take 1 sack, I guess it can happen. But, I mean, if that kicker had missed that 40-something yard field goal, I mean, there was a part of me, kind of like I was angry at the Chiefs for not kicking the field goal at the end of the first half. There was a part of me that was like, it kind of would serve Mahomes right here if this kicker doesn't bail him out. I mean, this is ridiculous. You go from damn near inside the 5 to having to attempt a 40-something yard field goal on 2 plays with the ball in your hands both times. Come on, man. You got to be better than this. We're paying you $45 million a year. You've been in this spot before. Listen, I don't play video games, but I really thought that from what I could see in the second half and overtime, that Patrick Mahomes was playing quarterback kind of like it was a video game. And finally, the sports gods tapped him on the shoulder and said, listen, man, you're good, but you can't play like this. Just letting you know. You actually got to play some semblance of quarterback. That's all. I needed to get that off my chest, that even the great ones, even the guy that some people think is the best in the game, can have out-of-body experiences in big spots.
Well, talk to me about your thoughts on Andy Reid's play calling at the end of the half and at the end of the game as well down there. I mean,
listen, I wanted to kick a field goal at the end of the first half. I have had many people, however, say to me they thought there was enough time to throw a fade or a quick slant or something like, and then if
something
you have
in the end zone.
Well, yes, of course.
Something in the end zone.
Yes.
I mean, there weren't a lot of options on that play. I mean, he had one look to the end zone, it wasn't there, and then he went to Hill. He obviously was looking at the end zone because you could see that he looked, wasn't there, and checked off to Hill.
Right. And instead, he should have thrown it away and taken the field goal. So, and listen, Andy Reid made the decision to go for it. Andy Reid did not tell Patrick Mahomes to throw a swing pass to Tyreek Hill on the 5-yard line with no timeouts and not a lot of time left either. So I didn't agree with the decision. I would have taken the 3, but okay. The end of regulation, I mean, man, I have no idea what Mahomes was doing there. And quite frankly, the Bengals got back in the game by rushing as few people as they could and dropping as many people into coverage as they could. And they basically said to Mahomes, yeah, we don't think you can beat us. We're going to drop 8 into coverage a lot, and we don't think you can beat us. You're throwing it all over the damn place. Good luck. And they were right. Biggest plays of the game, the Bengals are rushing 3 guys. At the end of regulation, they're rushing 3, and they're flooding the red zone and the end zone with an extra body.
Right. And they ended up getting him on the 1 sack with a guy who was spying Mahomes on the play, who wasn't really rushing the passer, but Mahomes was standing still.
I mean, RCB said something which I don't necessarily disagree with. Chiefs didn't respect the Bengals based on their decisions and how Mahomes was playing. I do think that there was a little bit of arrogance there. And it comes about from time to time. And I remember a Super Bowl, the undefeated Patriots team. I mean, they had a long field goal on a 4th down at 48, 49 yards that they could have attempted. And instead, they went for it. And it was not 4th and 2 either. It was like 4th and 6. And even the Giants were looking around going, well, this is kind of arrogant. And it just so happens the Giants stopped them, and maybe that 3 points would have been big down the road, kind of like that field goal at the end of the first half for Andy Reid and company.
The field goal to me is the start of everything, because you have a team, and I'm not going to play the momentum game. I've listened to Gary Danielson talk enough. I'm just talking about the lead. I'm just talking about trying to bury someone. You're up 2 scores. You're going to get the ball to start the half. I don't see any reason why you don't take 3 there. I didn't at the time, and I don't now. And you and I have been this way, I think, throughout the football season on a lot of other occasions as well.
Yeah, there's no doubt you and I are a little more conservative than the modern play caller, if you will. And by modern, I mean 2020, 2021, because this is a very recent phenomenon to be this aggressive calling plays. But I really do believe lately in the biggest games, either of the regular season or oftentimes in the postseason, we have seen aggression more times than not come back and haunt coaches. Just a thought. Miller and Moulton. Lots of big stories from the weekend. Do you believe one of them? Mo Egger, live from Cincinnati in 50 minutes time. The Bengals are in the Super Bowl, joined by the Rams. How about that? A couple of 4 seeds. As if this NFL season couldn't get any better. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
What channel is it again?
212?
Hey, Panthers Rangers on ESPN.
Your Rangers came from 2-0 down yesterday, David.
Against the Kraken?
Yeah, they were down 2-0, scored the winner with 33 seconds left in regulation. I happened to just read that on the ticker yesterday. I was like, okay. It was actually on the NHL Network. Poll question.
I almost want to ask, do you believe Tom Brady is going to retire?
If Tom Brady plays another game in the NFL, what team is it with?
Bigger choke, Chiefs or Niners?
I think the Chiefs.
And yet the Niners had the biggest fourth quarter comeback against them in the history of championship games. And I don't think you're wrong, Philly. I would actually vote with you.
I mean, they freaking blew it.
I will say, though, the Rams were driving as the fourth quarter began. I
Right.
mean, they began the quarter on the 20-yard line.
Right.
That interception that guy dropped. Ooh,
Right.
you need luck. You need a little bit of luck.
Thought Aikman was great there. That ball was terrible. I mean, the fact that he underthrew it, saying, "Is he injured?" I mean, that was.
Well, I will say he threw it really late too, so there was no way, even if he threw it, if you think he had more 5, 7, 8, 10 yards in him, the receiver was going to be past the ball because he threw it so late.
Gotcha. All right, that poll question's out. Anybody got anything else?
Does it look like Cooper Kupp is open every time you watch him play?
Are you excited about the Super Bowl?
All right.
Are you excited about this unlikely Super Bowl matchup? Yes. Love new blood. No. No. Give me more Brady. Oh, yeah. Rams went to a silent count early in the game.
When I put no, I miss Tom. Yes, love new blood. No, I miss Tom. I can't do that down here.
Sure you can.
No. I mean, I can, but fine. I miss Tom. We all miss Tom. Did you see any of the clips from Manning?
1 minute.
Oh, the SNL. I saw the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see it live, but I saw the whole clip afterwards. I thought it's
Thought
some of the best stuff he's ever done.
I thought it was hysterical. How much time you say? 1 minute?
Yeah.
I watched the fake Stephen A. and Michael Irvin. I didn't laugh once during the whole thing.
Really?
I didn't even think it was funny.
Oh, wow. I thought the guy impersonating Irvin was tremendous. I thought the Stephen A. guy just had his cadence down, but I thought Michael
I didn't
Irvin.
think their impressions were that bad. I didn't think anything they said was funny, however.
Oh, I didn't.
I didn't
think it
find the skit
mattered.
to be even remotely funny.
Wow.
10 seconds.
We saw that very differently.
That is blasphemous.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
$18 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. I come at you from Los Angeles after the Rams 20-17 NFC Championship game win over the Niners. Mark is in the cozy, although not nearly that cozy this morning, confines. It's the cold confines. It's not often you can use that word in Florida, but it is cold this morning.
I had to out Philly this morning. I was wearing as many team garb stuff. I got my East Carolina shirt. I think, Philly, what year were you born?
2000.
I have sweatpants on that are older than Philly.
Oh, my God.
These are my
Hey.
Atlanta Knights traveling sweatpants from the 93 season, something like that. I mean, team won the cup in 94 when I worked there. I think this is the original 92-93 season.
I'm impressed they still fit, even though they're sweatpants. I'm still impressed. That's not bad.
Well, you also probably wear them 10 times a year.
Oh, maybe. They've got they literally have a little bit of a nice liner, almost like they're warm. These only get They only break these out when we go below 50. First number's got to be a 4 for these even to get out of the closet.
Well, first digit was a 3 this morning throughout Florida. So, whew.
We've got a poll question up. We'll get to that in a second. I got a couple questions for you, Mr. Moulton.
Go for it.
You do the cocktail party every year and have now for what? 13 years?
16.
16 cocktail parties. And you have said, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but you say every year it's the worst game atmosphere that you see in the SEC because you're at home games every week.
Correct. There's only about 37 to 40,000 people cheering on every play.
Can you give me an assessment of the crowd yesterday versus a cocktail party crowd? Because I think most of our audience in Florida, I'm guessing, has watched the cocktail party and maybe has been to a few cocktail parties. It seemed louder in SoFi than what it sounds like at a cocktail party to me. Now, I don't know if that's the canopy. I don't know if it was the fact that it was a championship game. I don't know if it's the fact that we haven't had a Florida-Georgia game where both teams have been good enough, quite frankly, to get that jazzed up. But with my butt on a couch yesterday, that felt louder than a cocktail party.
Well, it's true. It seems as if it's been about a decade since we've had a riveting cocktail party in which it's very close throughout and both teams are full-throated from early in the game. Number two, SoFi is loud. All right. Even though both end zones, the upper half of the stadium is open air. Once again, SoFi is a canopy. All right. The middle half of the stadium down to the ground is all underground. It's partly why the stadium costs so much money. And then from about the midway point of the stadium all the way up is obviously above ground, and the two end zone areas are open aired. It's a beautiful stadium. It is very loud. Now, I will say, Mark, they didn't pump nearly as much noise. In fact, I thought they pumped very little noise into the stadium yesterday. There were a couple of regular season games this year in which I thought I was back at the old Metrodome, and the Vikings were handling the sound system. They were pumping like when the Bucks played there week 3. All right, there was a rock concert going on in the middle of a football game. It was loud, and a lot of it was artificial. But it was a title game, and those that wanted to be there were really interested in being there, besides the couple hundred Hollywood types who just wanted to be seen there.
Or that led me to my next question. Did you bump elbows at any point with any? I mean, there were some pretty good names there. Did you rub elbows with Leo? Did anything happen there where someone important came by and you went, I'll be damned?
No. A NFC championship game, they were all kept away from the booth. In fact, I thought the booth was going to be a madhouse. So much so that I sent Joe Buck a private email during the week and literally said in the email, I just want to get this out there with you because we're not even going to have a moment to talk privately in the booth on Sunday. And all of a sudden I walked into the booth 2 hours before kickoff and there's 7 people there. I was shocked. And I turned and looked at security and he said, oh yeah, we're not letting anybody in. No friends, no guests, no nothing. All right. The closest thing to a celebrity that we let in the booth, Mark, besides a couple of Fox executives, were a couple of former LA King hockey players, one of whom's married to Aaron Andrews. All right. That's it. So no Kate Hudson appearances. Okay, this week.
She's right at the top of my list too. That would have done a lot for me personally, David. I don't know about anybody else, but that would have been big for me.
Well, and Mark, it would not have disappointed. All right. She's very nice and she's lovely.
Thank you for that. Probably and a big hockey fan too, because I know Dad is. Osmosis, it's got to be there, right?
Right. So And I mean, I will say a few of the celebrities were willing to partake. The Rams, like most teams, they've got their people making their way through the stadium and, with microphones and, hey, will you rev up the crowd? And I will say, some of the celebrities were good sports. It was a great atmosphere. From what I could tell, the San Francisco and Los Angeles fans actually got along. I did not see any evidence of fights before, during, or after the game. And Mark, we had to walk almost completely around the stadium. Long story, but we spent a lot of time in the parking lot beforehand. The Niners fans were hysterical. Didn't matter where you went, they were welcoming Rams to their home game. It didn't matter where you went. Okay. Niners fans were going, hey, thanks for showing up at Candlestick. How are you? Good to see you. So they were feeling it.
Second straight year, there will be a home Super Bowl.
After never having won beforehand.
Right. That's the funny thing. We go 54 years without one. We now have had back-to-back home Super Bowls, the Bucs and now the Rams. And it would have been a home Super Bowl whomever won out of San Francisco and the Rams based on what we've seen at SoFi the last 3 weeks.
In fact, I think the Niners would have been more of a home game because it was 70-30 when they played at the end of the regular season. Yesterday, the Rams fans really showed up. It was only about 55-45, 60-40 Niners. I mean, they really came. I mean, Troy Aikman at one point said it has to be pretty embarrassing for the Rams to have to go to a silent count at home in an NFC Championship game. They used it a lot more than the Niners did.
And you have to think, David, and maybe not, because LA is a funny place, but you have to think that there's not anything else this team can do since coming to LA to endear themselves to the LA crowd. I mean, go to another Super Bowl, for crying out loud.
All right. I believe 2016 was their first year. I believe they went to Los Angeles and Jeff Fisher was their coach. They were not a good team and they were boring, and he was fired. Sean McVay has come in. He's been there 5 years. They've had 5 winning seasons. They've made the playoffs 4 times. They've gone to 2 Super Bowls in 4 seasons. Yeah, I'd say they're doing okay. I'd say they're doing it. And in fact, and what are they doing? They're also running their team much like a Hollywood team. What are they doing? They're going out, they're getting names. They're getting, if not stars, they're getting all pros. They're getting elite players.
David, they're running their team kind of like the back end of Showtime. Really and truly. Hey, give me a Bob McAdoo.
Right.
Right.
Give me a Michael Thompson.
Right.
Yes. Give me all stars who will come off the bench and be our 6th man, if you will. Yes. I mean, think about who the Rams, by the way, have brought into this team during the season. I mean, they brought in Von Miller and Odell Beckham during the season. Gave up a 2nd and a 3rd for Von Miller, by the way.
I mean, hell, you could even argue it's the back end of the Shaq Kobe when they went and got a Karl Malone and they tried to. I mean, this is every much what the Lakers have done, David. The most popular team ever in that city, bar none. They're doing the same playbook in the NFL, and damn it, it's working.
Yet there's no fans.
It's not that there's no fans. It's just that the NFL had done such a good job of splintering the Los Angeles market. I mean, when you go an entire generation without a team in America's 2nd biggest city, what do you expect the residents of the city and the surrounding areas to do? Keep rooting for a team that's now in Oakland? Keep rooting for a team that's now in St. Louis? So,
and when they were both there, the Raiders were more popular.
Yes.
And it wasn't close.
Nope. Raiders were the most popular team in Los Angeles, more so than the Rams, even when the Rams were good in the 80s. It is the part of the game, Mark, and maybe it's because I'm 56 years old. It is the part, and the two guys I were with were just complaining the whole walk in the parking lot. I, of course, was people watching. All right. And let's face it, take a look at me. I could use a little exercise. So I'm thinking, hey, this is good. This is needed. And I'm looking at jerseys. Who's wearing what? What generation Rams jersey do we have on here versus what generation Niners jersey? The Niners jerseys were much younger in terms of the players. They were much more recent. They were all within the last 10 years. I saw very little Montana and Rice in comparison to the last 10 years, which was surprising to me. Meanwhile, the Rams jerseys, Mark, if I had a nickel for every Eric Dickerson jersey I saw, or
Really?
Marshall, yes, or Marshall Faulk. Wow, do they love their 80s and 90s running backs in Los Angeles?
Well, they should.
You see any Kurt Warner jerseys?
Very few.
No, because he was a St. Louis Ram.
Yeah.
So
Well, but so was Marshall Faulk, though. And Faulk was at the game, by the way, which I will say I always find interesting. You played your whole career in St. Louis. Here you are representing the Los Angeles Rams on the field, being honored and talked about. I just laugh.
I don't care. Nothing beats Icky Woods walking up to Joe Burrow in the middle of Tracy Wolfson's interview. Sorry, that tops it. And Joe gives a little Icky shuffle right back at Icky. I mean,
That's
Joe
fantastic.
Cool is Joe Cool. I saw a lot of Aaron Donald's crowd shots.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, from far more
Yes.
than Stafford, far more than anything Cooper Kupp. A lot of Aaron Donald jerseys.
Yes. A lot of Donald, little bit of Cup, no Stafford. I mean, there were 4 of them. That's if you're including Kelly and the box that her and the Stafford clan were in. I mean, yes, Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp. That's pretty much it. And Eric Dickerson. A lot of Dickerson jerseys. Laughed. You know me. I wanted to start walking up to people, okay, and go, hey, tell me about Eric Dickerson. What do you know? You know where he went to school? All right. Tell me about 1984. What's so special about ED in 1984? Do you know? But I behaved. I said, you know what? Good for you. You're out here. You're representing. You went old school, but that's all right. That's okay. You're here. At least, I mean, Mark, think about it. The downright begging that Kelly Stafford and a few other people associated with the Rams did. I mean, they got about 10% more fans out to the game. I mean, instead of it being 70-30 Niners, it was 60-40 Niners. I mean, they do the math. I mean, they probably got about 7,000 more Ram fans out to the game. It's a lot of tickets they had to buy. I know that. It's a lot of tickets, but in a way it paid off because I will say in the fourth quarter, that place was loud when the Niners had the ball. And it wasn't in the Week 18 game, and it wasn't during the first 3 quarters of the NFC Championship game. But when the game was on the line, the place sounded the way it should. By the way, did Joe Burrow have trouble with the noise at Arrowhead?
I will say his offensive line did.
Okay.
I mean, they did. There was a delay of game. He jumped once. Yeah, they had. I thought they had trouble a couple of times.
All right.
And trust me, when they came out on the field, that first 3 and out, the Arrowhead crowd was ready.
I bet they were.
But as always, it seems Joe gets the last laugh.
And once again, does the SEC get the last laugh? What do we have? LSU against Georgia for the national championship at quarterback?
What else is new?
I'm telling you, it's the year of Georgia. The Braves, the Dogs, Matthew Stafford in the Super Bowl. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening to the Florida Sports Network.
The divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, still has huge cash prizes up for grabs.
This week, new customers can get on the game and play free for millions with their first deposit. There are only a few weeks of football left, So draft your squad now.
Playing daily fantasy football simple. Just pick your lineup of NFL stars, staying under the salary cap, and score enough points to bring home cash.
And with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes, you'll feel the action of the divisional round like never before.
DraftKings, safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want.
Download the DraftKings app now and use the promo code M&M to play free for millions. That's right. Enter promo code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. Get in the action for the divisional round only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. No, Hobbs, I did not know that there was an LPGA Tour event in Fort Myers this week.
Yeah, they changed it. It's new.
Yeah, I got you. But no clue. Didn't know anything about it. Kind of really ticked off. Oh, no spectators. Seriously?
Oh, we might have some major breaking news from the Premier League. Or no, not from the Premier League. Well,
What are you talking about?
Kylian Mbappe agrees to a Madrid
That's
deal.
not breaking news.
I have no idea who you're talking
I
about.
don't even know who you're talking about.
You don't know who Kylian Mbappe is?
No. Is it like a small country in the Pacific? I mean,
No. He's one of the best soccer players in the planet.
Okay.
hmm,
Good to know.
He plays for PSG.
figured I would have heard of him.
Paris Saint-Germain.
Hey, so the Dolphins get picked 28 or 29 rather?
Because the Chiefs go 30.
Yeah. Pick 29 for the Dolphins. That's two worse than Tampa, just for the record.
Boy, that swapping picks with the Niners thing there, that doesn't seem to have gone well.
Will there be more Bengals fans or Rams fans at the Super Bowl?
Well, the problem is there's not a ton of tickets sold to fans.
Right.
But I have a feeling the game is not going to be very appealing to a lot of people. And I think there will end up being a huge secondary market
Correct.
for fans.
And I don't
And my
think it's super expensive secondary market either.
and my guess is it'll be almost all Cincinnati,
Yeah.
that they will come out of the woodwork.
It's going to be a field day for celebrities, though. I'll tell you that.
But it was going to be anyway. It could have been the Titans against,
The Bills.
the
Or
Eagles,
the Eagles, yeah.
and it would have been
Bills are in the AFC also.
So it was a replacement for a canceled Asian event, and they're not having spectators.
correct. They're staying in Florida since they've already played 2 events. They figured, hey, we need somebody. Can somebody host us for a week and give up their course? I think also they're hoping that this will get them back in this market for a regular tour event.
Yeah, because the one they have is not at a great time anymore. I mean, they used to have a February event here, right?
And it rocked was the second event of the season.
I think Fort Myers is perfect. Don't do another event in Naples. They need a Fort Myers event. I would love it if they did it at the Fort. It'll never happen. It would be fantastic that those girls play those greens. I would love it.
I do think logistically it'd be a disaster, though.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know what? Cypress Lake would be it's at Crown Colony. Cypress Lake would be a good course to have it.
30 seconds.
And that was Patty Berg's home course, too, when she lived in the area.
Great course.
$15 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
19 minutes before the hour, Mo Egger to join us in 20 minutes' time. He of 1530 ESPN in Cincinnati. Put yourself in his shoes. Born and raised in the area, doing sports talk in Cincinnati, and the Bengals come out of nowhere to go to the Super Bowl. Wow. Mo Egger in 20 minutes' time here on Miller and Moulton. Speaking of the Super Bowl, it kind of plays into our poll question, which is simply, so are you excited about the matchup, yay or nay?
And so far, 4 of 5 are excited. Love the new blood. I went with 2 answers. Yes, love new blood. And then B, no, I miss Tom.
Well played, Mark. Well played.
And we may have to miss him for a long time because all reports are that he is done. ESPN has doubled and tripled down on Jeff Darlington and Adam Schefter's reporting that Tom Brady has retired, even though the Brady camp has not confirmed, but has not denied either that the retirement of TB12 is imminent.
No, they have not denied that he's retiring. There are, however, people close to Tom. I love that. People close to Tom who are saying, yeah, he hasn't made up his mind. So I have no idea if this is true. Mark, at this point, do you think ESPN is doubling and tripling down on this story because, well, it's one of the greatest athletes of our time and it's worthy of this much attention? Or B, are they almost trying to convince themselves that their reporting is right?
C, all of the above. I mean, I really believe it's that. Because when I found out on Saturday, I found out that it might not be true all at the same time. Because I wasn't in lockdown. I watched one college hoop game, and that was really about it for me on Saturday. And I watched 2 simultaneously, but neither here nor there. And then all of a sudden this starts coming out. Well, I couldn't get the TV on early enough Sunday, one, to watch the end of the Australian Open, but knowing that SportsCenter is going to start, and how is ESPN going to handle the Brady retirement, non-retirement story Sunday morning? And I haven't watched SportsCenter in a long time, certainly not in its entirety, David. Unless I missed it. They never even mentioned once that there were people saying that it might not be true. They didn't even go to the fact that Tom Brady's dad went on a radio show and said, well, this is news to me. They didn't even come close to giving you anything but beyond a shadow of a doubt that Tom Brady is done playing football. And that's all I watched for. So and I guess they couldn't. I don't know, David, you worked in this world way more than me. From the standpoint of how you report this when there's another story than going on, to not acknowledge it at all seemed a little bit surprising to me.
Now, my understanding is that earlier in the day, Saturday, they actually brought up the denials or whatever was coming from people close to Brady. And it only had Adam Schefter doubling down on his report more, was my understanding. So then I guess at that point they just decided, hey, we're going with our report. Okay? Dewey defeats Truman. Got it?
So there's part of me that wants Tom to play next year just to see how ESPN would handle this.
Well, I'll tell you how they would handle it. One of those two guys would be out of a job.
Well, and it would be Jeff Darlington.
Right, because, I mean, they're not getting rid of Adam Schefter. In fact, they'd kind of push the blame onto Darlington. Well, it was really more Jeff's report. And Schefter just went along with it, trying to be a good teammate. I am slowly, and I thought Tom was going to play one more year. I did. People I know who know him and people close to him that had told me all year that his intent was to honor the final year of his contract. So if something has changed, well, hey, I mean, let's face it, we're all being greedy as sports fans now anyway, right? I mean,
Yes.
come on. I mean, like the guy owes us one more snap. Are you kidding? I mean, he only played until he was 44, and he's going to be one of the 3 finalists for the MVP at 44. I mean, it's not like he owes us anything. I mean, it's like at this point, Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, either one of them owe us one more play or shot? Yeah, I don't think so. Don't think so. We're just getting greedy. Come on. Tell you what, though, with these playoffs, at least there's one side of the NFL going, I know it's not going to be the same, but we'll try to take it from here. Man, oh man.
So
Right.
retirement and the Bengals all happening in a weekend. And I don't know
Unreal.
what one's more surprising. I think it's the Bengals, David, and I don't think it's close.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, come on, we all need to be honest with ourselves. Let's try to, if you can, go back 3 weeks in time. So the playoffs are starting. We have 14 teams. And if you were ranking the teams in 1 through 14, best chances to win the Super Bowl, where would you have had the Bengals? Be honest. Would they have made your top 10?
No.
Well, I mean, you only got 14 here. I mean, you know, you would have given them a better shot than the Eagles, right?
Well, they would have made the bottom of the top 10 because they had a better shot than the Eagles. I had them beating the Raiders.
Right. So you would have given them a better shot than the Steelers as a 7. And since you had them beating the Raiders, you would have given them a better shot than the Raiders. So now we've got them up to 11. But now let's take in both sides. Would you have given them a better shot than the Niners?
I would have had them about the same shot as the Niners. And I mean, I did pick them to beat Tennessee. So for what it's worth, I did have Cincinnati getting
right
to the championship game.
Right. So you would have had them probably in around your top 5.
Probably 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there.
Because you saw the draw and you thought, well, they're going to beat the Raiders, and I think they're going to end up playing the Titans, and I kind of like them against the Titans. So, I mean, in fairness, you would have had them higher than most everybody.
I would have, but I would have had both the Bills and Chiefs ahead of them. I would have had, obviously, both Bays ahead of them. Would have had the Rams ahead of them. I would have probably had the Niners. So somewhere around 7.
Okay. There you go. But, I mean, how many people would have had the Bengals ahead of the Cowboys? Just be honest now. Be honest. You go back in 3 weeks' time and we give you a blank piece of paper and a pen and say, write down 1 through 14 teams with the best chance to win the Super Bowl. Would you have had them ahead of the Cowboys?
Now, you know I would have, because I never trust the Cowboys. I will say, for as bad as Romo was yesterday, he did have one of the better lines right before the field goal. He goes, you got to catch the snap.
Wow. Really?
I mean, he made a comment about holding on to the snap and giving himself a shot there, which I thought was, a holder. I think he said something to the effect of the holder can drop the snap. I've seen it before. Now, I've got to give the man credit for
there
as
you go.
he was in the fourth quarter. To throw that in is pretty solid.
That is poking fun at yourself from 15 years earlier. Cost him a playoff game.
I don't think Cowboys fans found that very funny, but I thought it was hysterical.
All right. Well, good for him.
But I had the Bengals slightly ahead of the Cowboys because I don't trust the Dallas Cowboys. But you're right. I think most people would have had them no better than 8-9.
2 4 seeds. Now, granted, the 1-4 seed in the NFC won 12 games, but 2 4 seeds. And, that's pretty rare. I mean, oftentimes we get a 1 or a 2 on one side, and then you get the 4 or the 5 or the 6 on the other. But you very rarely get 2 teams in the Super Bowl who were both supposed to play 2 road games. Now, whether they did or not is a different story, but they're both supposed to be playing 2 road games. And the one team did, and the other team ended up only having to play 1.
And now they get yet another home game. Back-to-back years with the home team hosting the Super Bowl as the Rams, they'll be at SoFi again to take on the Cincinnati Bengals.
3.5 points. The Rams are the early favorite. Over-unders around 50.5. Basically, right now, Vegas has this game pegged as 27-24 Rams. And with the way the playoffs have gone, I mean, at this point, do we really think this isn't going to be a good, close game?
And don't you think it's going to be an under?
Yes.
8-4, right?
So far.
8-4, the under.
Yeah, because the Bengals Chiefs stayed under. And I will say, I got both picks wrong. I said I was rooting for the Bengals and the Rams, and I picked the Chiefs and the Niners, although I took the Niners in the points. That half was big. They did cover. But I loved the under in the Rams-Niners game. Absolutely loved it. All 3 Niners games, by the way, in the playoffs went under.
Yep.
So keep that in mind in the future when you're betting the Niners.
Yeah, I was 1-1 with picking winners, 0-2 against the number. That put me at 9-3 for both now through the postseason.
That's pretty good. That's pretty darn good. Thank you very much.
I boasted a little bit out in the group chat when I was asked by someone who may like this for entertainment purposes, do you need a number? I said, absolutely. But I still love my wife and child, so I'll politely say no.
Hey, I know he's not the most popular guy in the world, but how about how great this is for Chris Collinsworth? And really for both of them. I mean, the thought is this will be Al Michaels' last game on this stage, at the height of the profession, that they're going to push him aside for Mike Tirico. Al may or may not go to Amazon and do Thursday night games, the occasional playoff game for NBC, but that this will probably be his last Super Bowl. He's lived in Los Angeles forever. He gets to go out with a Super Bowl in what is his now hometown. But Chris Collinsworth played. He was a rookie for the Bengals when they first made the Super Bowl. His very last game was Montana to John Taylor to win Super Bowl 23 in Miami. He played in both Bengals Super Bowls. And 33 years later, they make it back to the big game, and he gets to call it. I would think that's pretty cool.
No doubt about it. Also, rumors for Al that ESPN may be trying to court him back to Monday Night Football.
If I were them, I would.
I would, too. We will talk to one Mo Egger, who may or may not have been to bed yet. On the other side, live from Cincinnati. That is next, right here. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I mean, there have been a few folks in the Twitch chat room today that are indicating that they think that Brady's hesitancy or his decision somehow, some way has something to do with the Tampa Bay Bucks. No way. First off, that roster was as deep as any in the league to go through all the injuries that they went through and be that close to winning it all again. Secondly, you really think at this stage of Brady's life and career that he's holding out on a big decision like this based on what it is the GM can do in terms of personnel? I mean, come on. Hops, I have never thought Arians would coach a game without Brady. But my guess is Arians thought he would have one more year. You know, that is a topic, Mark, whether for later in the show or what have you, which is, do we think the Bucks go back to being the Bucks again?
Yeah, I think we can wait till tomorrow.
Yep. Plus, you've got to remember, you know, athletes like Brady think that if they are on the team, that we're going to have a really good chance of winning. Yeah, they had that last year too, and they re-signed most everybody. This year will be a little different, though, between age and some people not willing to play ball like they were a year ago. Swamp Buggy, I don't think he is. I mean, not 2022. I don't think Deadstruck they'll be able to make that big a play. We'll have plenty of time to talk about it, though. But if you're Tampa Bay, you willing to go Deshaun Watson?
What's Mo Station? 1530, right?
Yes, sir.
Must have been somebody else, but I did see a tweet that I thought was from Schefter yesterday. Someone must have copied him because I just saw it quickly. That used the guy that the Cincinnati Reds announcer. Hey, I've really worked hard on reporting, but sometimes mistakes are made. Blah blah blah. And now,
And there's a drive to deep left field, and that'll make it 4-0. It's still funny.
I was looking to see if Schefter actually tweeted that or if he deleted it because I was going to read that yesterday because I thought that was.
Mo's not answering.
Oh, jeez.
Come on, man.
Not again. 15 seconds.
Call again, leave a message.
Leave a message and
will.
leave the 337 number there.
I will. 5 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the final hour of Miller and Moulton in Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, Venice, and the good folks in Lake City. It is the halfway point for those in Southwest Florida. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. The day after the Cincinnati Bengals and the Los Angeles Rams played their way into Super Bowl 56. Remarkably, the Bengals 200-1 at the beginning of the year. As big an underdog as we have seen maybe in the modern Super Bowl era. I mean, the St. Louis Rams, coming off multiple losing seasons in a row, with their starting quarterback injured late in the preseason, with Kurt Warner having to take over the reins, who had won, I think, 10 or 11 games total in the previous 2 seasons. Vermeil's about to get fired. Things are going that badly. They were 150-1 to win the Super Bowl before that season. The Bengals were 200-1. They're in the big game. Awesome.
Remarkable. Despite the fact that their offensive line can't block.
I'm laughing because it's mostly true.
You know, Patrick Mahomes has made a living of his escapability in the pocket. And some of the things that he does to avoid hits is remarkable. Burrow was better at it yesterday. And I mean, he was better at it, David. And Mahomes made 2 plays in which I couldn't believe he escaped pressure. But Burrow was keeping drives alive with his feet. That's not what he does. He was ducking, bobbing, and weaving to avoid sacks. He was outrunning avoiding D linemen and then outrunning them. Joe Burrow yesterday outplayed Patrick Mahomes in the second half like 10-1. It wasn't even close. Mahomes had the worst half of his playoff career, and Joe Burrow was doing Joe Burrow things. And they weren't all throwing. A lot of them were with his feet, and a lot of them weren't even that pretty. Remarkable, David.
And is this the start of something big, or is this just one Cinderella moment in time? But either way, how can you not be happy? And not just for a fan base in a downtrodden franchise. And let's not try to put lipstick on this pig either. All right. The Bengals had the longest playoff victory drought in the NFL when these playoffs started. mean, for all the talk about the Lions hadn't won a playoff game since 1991. Yeah, well, the Bengals said, hold my beer. Our number's 1990. And they did, even with Marvin Lewis taking him to the playoffs 7 times during his 15 years, but going 0 for the playoffs. And the Bengals during that time were known for being undisciplined and still cheap and not a first-class organization. And the owner wants a new stadium. And the fan base is like, are you serious? How about if you give us a team? I mean, Mark, that's the other thing to take into consideration here. Joe Burrow is not just doing what he's doing on the field. Joe Burrow may get a stadium built when there was no chance, and you know what, the taxpayers of Ohio and Cincinnati were going to provide the Brown family with a stadium.
You're onto something, David. You know, the one thing I thought, and I said this to you before the show, I don't usually, to me, go Moulton, and this is kind of a Moulton looking back comment, but are the Bengals, Chiefs, and Bills going to be the Steelers, Patriots, and Colts of what we just kind of got done watching?
Of the 2020s?
Right.
That we had a generation of the Steelers, the Patriots, and the Colts to a large degree, although the Colts fell off a little bit. And the Steelers were good, but not elite. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly they're well positioned to at least give us a decade of all three being right there. And the other thing, and why you could make jokes about, boy, you know, with Cincinnati's success, what is Browns fan feeling now? Okay. But I mean, think about all the fan bases now, Mark, going forward that are going to be able to go, well, you know, I mean, look at the Bengals. I mean, they went from first pick of the draft to the Super Bowl in 2 years. And with that in mind, Mo Egger of 1530 ESPN in Cincinnati is kind enough to join us. And Mo, we're just simply going to throw it in underhanded and say, could you just not think but react to this statement? The Cincinnati Bengals are in the Super Bowl.
That's my reaction, because it's so impossible for us here to wrap our brains around this. And we get 2 weeks and we're going to play another game, and oh man, if they can figure out a way to win it, I'm not even sure what's going to happen here. But no, it's nothing short of remarkable from what you were just talking about. Owning the number 1 overall pick, 2 years ago, to all the conjecture that surrounded it about how, well, if Joe Burrow goes to Cincinnati, the franchise is going to fail him, to yesterday being down by 18 points in maybe the NFL's toughest road environment against Patrick Mahomes. It's not supposed to happen this way. It's not supposed to happen this quickly. You're supposed to take incremental steps where you go to the postseason and you take an early exit, you take some beatings, and I think most of us at halftime yesterday, or shortly before halftime yesterday, felt like, okay, maybe this is the beating, and instead we're talking about this team going to LA and playing in the Super Bowl. It doesn't make any sense, but it's awesome.
You know, I've got 2 really good Bengals fans that are friends. One was probably like that. The other one at halftime basically was texting in a group chat with 15 people, of which there were 2 Bengals fans going, just like last time, got them right where we want them. And, you know, damned if he wasn't right. That second half performance, Mo, I know Mahomes looked bad, but this Cincinnati defense is doing things that no other defense has been really able to do, Mo.
Yeah, and they're doing it with, let's face it, they've invested their recent first-round draft choices on offense. They put together this defense with a whole bunch of guys, and I said this before the season, the Bengals are going to lead the league in guys that when you watch them play, you go, oh, yeah, him. Oh, wait a minute, that guy's with the Bengals now? Or, boy, that guy's still in the NFL? They have a lot of players like that. that they've somehow banded together and put together a defense that exceeded everybody's expectations this season. And frankly, is probably the main reason why they're still playing. Because if you look at what they were able to do against Tennessee last week, if you look at what they were able to do yesterday against the Kansas City Chiefs, this team is built to outscore people. They're built to win games, or at least we thought coming into the season. If they have any kind of success, they're going to win games 34-31, which is the score they beat the Chiefs by the first go-around. But here late in the season, they've risen to the occasion almost every single time. They were excellent in the second half against Kansas City in the second to last regular season game. They were excellent last week against the Tennessee Titans and Derrick Henry, and playing without one of their best defensive tackles, Larry Ogunjobi. And they rose to the occasion yesterday when they absolutely had to. And I think I could have convinced people before the season started, the Bengals could be in the postseason, and they could maybe even win a game because you have Joe Burrow. I don't think anybody would have said you're going to do this largely on the strength of Lou Anarumo's defense and your kicker, and yet that's where they are.
Yeah, that kicker is something. I'll tell you. You gotta love, youthful exuberance / ignorance, right? Hasn't missed a big kick yet, so it hasn't even entered into his mind. McPherson there has been tremendous. Mo, what's it like having a dude at quarterback? I mean, Cincinnati hasn't had the guy since they traded for Griffey, you could argue, in all of their sports. And you might have to go back, and Mo, you would tell me, you might even have to go back to Eric Davis in his prime with the 90 Reds. What is it like to be in Cincinnati and realize, holy blank, we got one of those dudes?
After years of, and I hate to drag his name into the conversation because he's such a good guy, but after years of Blandy Andy Dalton, who had the personality of an egg crate, to have a guy here in Joe Burrow who he exudes everything you look for from a quarterback. And I think the really impressive thing with him is, he wasn't just being asked to come here and run the offense and win games. I mean, he literally was being hailed as the savior of the franchise. What this team's lease in its stadium expires in a couple of years. It's fully taxpayer funded. I think there's a really decent chance we would be having conversations right now about, God, are we going to renew the lease with the Bengals? And if no, what's going to happen? And Joe has come in and squashed all those conversations. He has reignited interest in the team, and he's embraced that, right? I mean, I think he knew that the moment it was crystal clear he was going to be the number one overall pick. He was coming to Cincinnati, and he was going to be hailed as more than just the new starting quarterback or a better quarterback than the one they've had. And the way he's embraced that, the way he has gotten people to change their thinking about this franchise, the way he's gotten his teammates to buy in has really been something to behold. He's been perfect. I mean, things in sports and things in life rarely live up to the hype. I don't know that I've ever seen, including when the Reds traded for Ken Griffey Jr., I don't know that I've ever seen anything as hyped and as anticipated as Joe Burrow's arrival in Cincinnati. And, typically, and I've cautioned myself against this a bunch of times, typically when something just is so overblown, you go, well, there's no way the guy or the team or whatever can live up to everything that's being said about it. And yet, here we are. In the second season, he's taken the Bengals to the Super Bowl. It's remarkable. And, you look around the league, there's obviously a lot of other really, really good quarterbacks and a lot of teams who are thrilled with the current quarterback situation. But look at where the Bengals are right now. I mean, Joe Burrow's in his second season, so you're still a little bit of a ways away from having to pay him. He's not yet entering his prime. He just had an MVP caliber season in which he led the league in completion percentage and yards per attempt. He's just taken his team to the Super Bowl. There's not a quarterback situation as good and as unique as the one in Cincinnati. And that's not something we're used to saying.
And Mo, it's usually my co-host David that can read too much into short clips that we don't even know what's going on. But as I was watching Tracy Wolfson nearly get knocked over trying to interview Joe at the end of the game, I see that he's the guy because every single defensive player was trying to find him. The defensive coordinator was trying to find him. The guys who starred in the game were trying to find the quarterback. It's as if they all realize what David asked you earlier. They realize he's the guy. And I don't know if I'm reading too much into that, but that 5 minutes at the end of the game to me told me a lot about Joe Burrow.
Yeah, we've talked here a lot about the Burrow effect, right? Like Brian Callahan, the offensive coordinator, gets an interview with the Denver Broncos. Why? Because of Joe Burrow. Hell, Alua Anarumo, the defensive coordinator, got a head coaching interview with the New York Giants. Why? Because of Joe Burrow. Extend that, Zach Taylor, who we came into the season wondering, can this dude coach? Well, he's going to get a contract extension. Joe Burrow effect. The season ticket numbers next year are going to be enormous. The Joe Burrow effect. And then you just look around town. I mean, we've not to get too deep into the weeds here, but the amount of, businesses and whatever that have sort of rebranded themselves around the Bengals. Well, all that's attributed to Joe Burrow. The defensive players being on this sort of team and what that could do for those guys individually. All that's because of Joe Burrow. And everybody realizes it too. I mean, everybody in the organization realizes it. And I think the great thing about him is he just really seems equipped to handle all of it. He just really seems equipped to be able to sort of, understand the role that he's in. He was low key after the game yesterday. And, we'll talk as we get closer to next Sunday about their chances against the Los Angeles Rams. But I don't know, man. If you're giving me that dude at quarterback, I'm going to feel like I have a chance against pretty much everybody. And I think that's how everyone here feels.
I mean, he really has saved the franchise, hasn't he, Mo? I mean, if he had gone bust, there was a chance. I don't know about this franchise moving, but certainly you guys are not building the Browns a new stadium. And now let's face it. Okay, I mean, let's face it. I mean, if Joe Burrow were to ever step up to a microphone and go, guys, we need a new home, it'd be like, well, okay, how much money we got? We got to donate.
I think you'd have fans go into their garages, grab their shovels, and go to wherever the groundbreaking is supposed to be. He has completely resuscitated interest in this franchise. He has completely changed how people talk about this franchise, how they view it. I mean, you know how it is when a team goes through a long losing stretch and people start to claim apathy and how they're done and how they're finished and not going to go to games anymore. And they're going to root for the Cleveland Browns because now they have Baker Mayfield and all that stuff. We've been through all that. We've been through multiple cycles of that. And so for this team, and, look, whenever there's winning, there's going to be people who jump on the bandwagon, but this has been different. This has been unique because this franchise has been at times so poorly run. And even worse, I think, so detached from its public that you've just had so many people that have just thrown up their hands and go, I'm done. I mean, I get calls. I have gotten calls on a sports talk radio show on a station that carries the Bengals, listened to by sports fans. And they would call and say, why are you talking about the Bengals? The local NFL team, right? The biggest sport in the country. Why are you talking so much about the Bengals? Move on to something else. No one cares. And these are people listening to sports talk radio. Those are phone calls I would get. I'm not getting those phone calls now.
Mo, I'm just curious, the gap in text, because my one Cincinnati Bengal fan quit texting me at about 11. The other one started it again at 5 a.m. Was there a gap at all in your text messages at all, or has it just been a continuous, nonstop, I can't believe it text run since the end of the game?
At about 3:20 this morning, my wife kneed me in the back and said, please turn off your phone. I think that's illustrative of how it's been going. So, hence, I missed your original phone call at 8 o'clock because about every 3 minutes it would ping and it was somebody else. And you know what? It has been interesting as somebody who's, grew up here and is old enough to, remember what it was like to be 11 years old when they went to the Super Bowl in 1988 and being heartbroken over losing to the 49ers. I think a lot of sports fans can relate to this. You hear from people that you haven't heard from in forever. I heard from people yesterday. I'm not sure how they had my number. And so that's been the really, really cool part of it. But yeah, the texts have been insane. There's no doubt about that. But You know what? Normally, when my phone blows up and it's regarding the Bengals, it's because somebody's done something stupid or somebody's gotten arrested or something like that, or they've blown a game inexplicably. This is obviously the exact opposite, and it's very refreshing.
Mo, thanks for making time for us. Save your voice. Although in theory, after your opening monologue, you may just be able to open it up to calls. But save your voice. Thanks so much for your time, and savor these next couple of weeks.
I definitely will. Thanks, guys.
Mo Egger, 1530 ESPN in Cincinnati. Follow him on Twitter at Mo Egger. Every fan base should experience something like this. Certainly once every 33 years, right? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
We've hit the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, still has huge cash prizes up for grabs.
This week, new customers can get on the game and play free for millions with their first deposit. There are only a few weeks of football left, so draft your squad now.
Playing daily fantasy football simple. Just pick your lineup of NFL stars, staying under the salary cap, and score enough points to bring home cash.
And with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes, you'll feel the action of the divisional round like never before.
DraftKings, safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want.
Download the DraftKings app now and use the promo code M&M to play free for millions. That's right. Enter promo code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. Get in the action for the divisional round only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
All right, numbers are pretty big in here, but that doesn't mean that all of you are following the Miller and Moulton Twitch page. This is the time that I shamelessly plug our page to try to get you to follow so that I win my bet against David. That's really it. If you're viewing the show via Facebook or YouTube right now, I would appreciate it if you come to twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. I got to figure out where the hell I have to follow us myself because I don't even know how to do it. That probably would help. And I think I am following our page. Where the hell in the Twitch page is the opportunity to follow? That would be a better question. Let's see. Let's just see what's going on here. I think I follow our own page. I know it's my page, but shouldn't the button be there in theory? It's the heart to favorite. Okay. Well, where's the heart?
Mo Egger tweeted out 42 minutes ago, I'm about to be on CNN for some reason. That's awesome.
Oh, really, Sonny? I know Marty Knapp's been watching via Facebook. I always love when the Nouvelle Catholic alums are in there. Sonny, how cold is it in the Mitten State today? Because it's cold here. It's 39. It's 30-flipping-9 degrees. Oh, Brent Sundeck? That's funny. I haven't heard that name in forever. Boy, Dooley tried to pull one off yesterday, David.
They lost.
I know. I watched.
Closing seconds.
I watched it. They should have gotten the rebound. Guy missed the shot, and they gave an offensive rebound, and he had an easy putback.
Mhm.
I felt badly. It was a nice comeback by them. He's got two guys that can play a little bit, but he's got to start winning too, man.
Yep. Yep.
You're crazy, Paula. You're downright crazy to be loving this weather. My dog looked at me this morning like, what are we going outside for? Can't I use your bathroom?
1 minute.
Not only Stafford playing, by the way, Eminem playing in the Super Bowl. I mean, this really is the closest Detroit can get.
All right. Felipe called Eminem washed up this morning. Kind of hurt my feelings.
Yeah, he's washed. Stafford ain't washed.
Because your hip hop music's so good.
Right.
Gross.
Look, I love classic rap. 90s rap is like,
Yeah, you can actually. I mean,
peak.
I'm not trying to be a jerk here. You can actually understand what the hell they're saying. I
yeah,
listen.
that's
To,
a good point.
even my kid, who he's your age, he goes, you can't hear anything out of you. I don't think this is any good. He's like, he likes Kendrick. There's a couple other ones.
Kendrick is good. He spits bars. 15 seconds. Nas, one of my favorite rappers of all time. I love Nas.
Yeah, his new album's really good.
Yeah, it is. All right, we're coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
27 minutes past the hour. We went a little late in that first segment, but we thought it was worth it. A first-hand account from Cincinnati with the Bengals in the Super Bowl for the first time in 33 years. Gary Myers, author of the best-selling book Brady versus Manning, and host of The GOAT, a Tom Brady podcast. Figured we'd talk about this Tom Brady retirement story that's out there with Gary Myers coming up in 10 or so minutes.
Did you catch that? Normally his radio show with Jim Gray is on at 6 p.m. on Mondays, right?
Right, on Mad Dog Radio, then re-airs on NFL Radio.
They pushed it back an hour. It's 7 tonight. I would assume that means they're doing it live.
I doubt that.
Or they're taping, or that he couldn't. Yeah.
His schedules is my guess.
They announced there's a new time for it. I just found that to be a little bit different. Driving around listening to some NFL radio in the morning, and they were promoting that, saying it'll be an hour later tonight. I also loved that Peyton Manning broke down the possible Brady retirement by going to Emily in Paris on SNL.
Right. It was awesome. If you haven't seen it, please download it. Download the whole 4-minute bit. It's tremendous.
Yeah, you had me, you and others were raving about the Stephen A. Michael Irvin. I didn't find that to be that funny.
Right,
Peyton
which
Manning,
I find surprising.
Peyton Manning was brilliant again. Was so good. He's got a beret on at the end of the day.
Yes, he does.
Well, I was watching the first episode of season 2 of Emily in Paris, and then I just binge watched the whole second season and didn't see any of the football games. I mean, come on, that's just too damn good.
Yep. So, love the fact they were able to work the Brady retirement story in there on the day that it broke. So that's some good writing right there.
Absolutely. And it shows you that older Manning can act a little bit.
Yep.
I mean, because they obviously rehearsed it one way and had to change a skit the day of. Actors can do that. That's a hell of a halftime adjustment.
Yep. Got some good writers on that show usually, and they usually have some good performers as well. I love the fact that he just did the bit, and that was it. That's why I'm here this week. Thank you very much. Have a good day. So if you have a chance, download it. We think that it'll be 4 minutes worth your time. You buy Jim Harbaugh to the NFL? He interviewed secretly with Minnesota. Then there is now noise in the system, including a report out of Chicago yesterday that, I think he's leaving. And in fact, he's going to choose Miami over Minnesota.
Well, David, for Miami's sake, I damn near hope so now. Because I was uncertain as to why they even fired Flores. Well, it appears to be guys can't work. Well, they can't hire anybody because no one seemingly wants to work with Greer unless that's Jim Harbaugh. The whole way the Miami coaching search has gone and the lack of closing, you have to hope that Harbaugh's in their sights, David, don't you?
Well, yes, because we were surprised. We thought when Flores was fired, and that surprised us, even though Jay Glazer had mentioned there was a little noise in the system the day before. But it surprised us. And so we figured, well, they got to have a plan. I mean, you don't just fire a guy who's had back-to-back winning seasons, something you haven't done in 18 years, unless you've thought about this and made your decision. You know the exact direction you're going to go. No, that was not the case at all. And in fact, I believe today they have an appointment scheduled with the Niners offensive coordinator. Mark, I will just read you this from Mark Carman, who's out of Chicago. He sent this out yesterday, early afternoon. Hearing from a reliable source that Jim Harbaugh will tell the Michigan team tomorrow that he is leaving to be the head coach of the Dolphins. Could have taken the Minnesota job, preferred Miami. Outside chance Michigan pays over the top and he stays, but the bet is Miami.
And I've never once thought that Jim Harbaugh was doing this to get more money out of the University of Michigan.
I'm right there with you.
I've had fun with Harbaugh at Michigan. As a Michigan State alum, it has been great joy in watching some of the things that have happened. But let's get to what Harbaugh's done. He took money out of his own damn pocket to pay a bunch of people in the athletic department their full salaries when they had to take pay cuts because of COVID. You don't do that if you're going to hold a university for ransom to get more money to stay as the head coach. It just doesn't work that way. He's a Michigan grad. He's a Michigan man. He's loyal to a fault to that university. Of all the things that Harbaugh is, to me, he's not the guy that sticks the Wolverines for a big check so that he can be the highest paid coach or get as much money as the guy in East Lansing or gets as much money as the guy somewhere else. That's just not who Jim Harbaugh is. Now, the timing of this I find interesting because signing day is coming up this week. I would hope for Jim Harbaugh's sake that that report is right, that he does it before signing day, not after signing day, David.
Right. It may hurt Michigan, but it's being a little more honorable in terms of the kids go, if you will. Now, the good thing is this is the secondary signing day. Most have already committed an early signing. And now, of course, with transfer, this stuff's worth not much more than the paper that it's printed on. Also, if you think about it, Jim did what he needed to do. He did. He stabilized the program. He beat Ohio State. He won a Big Ten championship. Outside of winning games in the playoff, he did what he absolutely had to do to be able to leave on terms in which the Michigan faithful still regard him the same way they did when he came in. We always said, Mark, he couldn't leave until he beat the Buckeyes. There was literally no sense talking about it. He could not live the rest of his life going 0-for against Ohio State.
Nope.
And now he doesn't have to worry about that. And he did something, quite frankly, that no one else has done. And certainly, when's the last time Michigan won the Big Ten? 97?
Well,
03?
Yeah, it's obviously the first one that they've won since we've gone to divisions and championship games
Right.
and all that stuff.
But I mean, I think it's the first one in nearly 20 years. It might even be since they won the national title in 97. So, he can leave now. What I find fascinating, and we got to take a break, Matt Campbell of Iowa State's always been linked to this if Harbaugh ever left. Do you hire Luke Fickell or Matt Campbell? How great would that be? Luke Fickell at Michigan.
That ain't happening.
No, it'd be great. By the way, how about this little
04, by
sports
the
year?
way.
Oh, 04? Really?
Co-champs with Iowa.
Okay.
They'd lose to Texas in the Rose Bowl with Lloyd Carr.
25 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton. Gary Myers to talk Tom Brady next on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals. The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Well, Klecko, I mean, Mr. Ross has only given, I think, 9 digits to the university. I think he's good. Hey, David, is he a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter?
I believe he is.
Okay. He's got that on his Twitter thing. I figured it was football. I just wanted to make sure. I'm telling you, it's really weird. Felipe had ice on his car. He lives maybe a mile and a half inland, would you say? 2 miles? No, I don't even think it's 2 miles from Ben Hill to my house. He had ice on his car. I didn't. Like a mile and a half difference inland.
That's interesting.
Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
People tweeting the ice on their cars to us this morning or texting. All right, for 10 minutes, that seems I don't even for 10 minutes, you take a credit card, you make 2 swooshes and you're good.
Maybe. Yeah, how many people have a scraper?
Credit card.
All
That's all
right,
you need.
Gary's on hold, and we're back in 10 seconds.
Great. Thank you, Felipe.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
18 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton. I come at you from Los Angeles, the site of the NFC Championship game. The Rams victorious, finally beating the Niners, marking the cozy confines that aren't so cozy this morning. It's officially cold in Florida. Gary Myers, who's in the Northeast, he knows cold of a different kind. He's also author of the bestseller Brady versus Manning, the untold story of the rivalry that transformed the NFL. Also host of The GOAT, the Tom Brady podcast, and he is a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. Gary Myers joins us. You can follow Gary on Twitter at Gary Myers NY. Gary, it's David and Mark once again. Hope you and your family are warm and safe. How are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's pretty cold, and we had about a foot of snow on Saturday. It always looks pretty coming down, but then it's a mess to clean up. But other than that, we're doing good.
Gary, first and foremost, this was a crazy way that the Tom Brady story broke. Timing is everything. First off, do you believe it to be true?
Yeah, I do. I think what happened is that somebody leaked the story. Somebody, I'm sure, is relatively close to Brady, and Tom just is not ready to make the announcement yet, and he doesn't want somebody else doing it for him. If you follow him on social media, you see that he does these really well-produced videos every week during the season, and I'm sure that his PR team is putting something together probably as we speak. And my guess is that he would want to make the announcement on his timetable, which will be before free agency, after the Super Bowl, somewhere in that time period. He doesn't want to do anything right now that will take the attention away from the Super Bowl. But I'm relatively certain, and this is just my gut feeling because I haven't spoken to him or his dad about
right now,
this
I'm
at
joined by
all.
my guys Jim Trotter and LaDainian Tomlinson, and let's welcome in.
Sorry
I
about
hear a
that.
little- Yeah, that's okay. My gut feeling is that he's just had enough. I think physically he can still do it. Mentally, I think it's just worn him out, and that'll be the reason that he walks away. And I think that he will.
Did it surprise you, the news he had indicated a year ago after winning, hey, I got 2 years left to I joked many years ago, played a 45. That would be 45. Obviously, he performed very well this year. Did the news catch you by surprise?
Not really. I was trying to think, going into the playoffs, if he won it, would he walk away, having won back-to-back for the first time since, for any team, since he did it in 03-04, or would he return to try to become help the Bucks become the first team to win 3 in a row? And so I was kind of conflicted on what he'd be motivated to do at that point. If the season ended like it did now, which I thought was a lot earlier than I anticipated, I thought they'd at least get to the championship game. I thought there was a better chance that he would walk away. The Bucks have a lot of free agents. They're not going to be able to bring the band back together. And teams only have a small window for the most part, unless you have a really young quarterback who, the arrow is pointing up. But otherwise, teams have these small windows to try to go for it. And certainly a team like the Bucks that brought everybody back this year, spent a lot of money to do it, probably have some cap problems down the road. They had to go for it now, and they were a win now team. And I'm not sure they would be in that position next year because of all their free agency losses that I anticipate them having. So I'm really not surprised now that this apparently is his decision.
Between injuries and the whole AB thing, the end of the season was not fun. I mean, it seemed like more of a grind. Whereas last season, the grind was in the first half, and they started to get things rolling come November and December. Do you just think the way this season ended and how mentally taxing it was had anything to do with this decision?
Yeah, probably. But I also think he might have even had his mind made up a long time ago. And there was a lot of talk going into the playoffs that this is going to be his final run. And as that Rams game got closer, the chatter kind of picked up. So, hey, listen, he had an unbelievable career. He played longer at this level than anybody could have possibly imagined. So, I do think the end of the season, to answer your question, was really difficult on him. Losing Chris Godwin was huge. Losing Antonio Brown, who he had good chemistry with, was a big deal also. And listen, you take it for what it's worth, but AB being so critical of Tom in the days after he got thrown off the team, I'm sure just had him shaking his head. I mean, he took him in and let him live in his house when he first signed with the Bucks, and then the guy's out the door and had critical things to say about Tom. I've never really heard a teammate criticize Brady, especially to that extent. So I would just think, and then probably pressure from his wife, to be around more. I'm sure that had something to do with it. I think that she's been wanting him to quit for a number of years. So you put all that together, and it really does make sense.
He's Gary Myers. He authored the New York Times bestseller Brady versus Manning, host of The GOAT, the Tom Brady podcast. He does some work for WPIX in New York. You can follow Gary on Twitter at Gary Myers NY. In team sports, Gary, is this the greatest career in the history of team sports?
Well, I mean, your audience probably most of your audience probably can't relate to this, but what did Bill Russell win? 11 championships?
11 out of 13, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the greatest career in team sports of this generation, if you want to call Russell's accomplishments of the previous generation. I mean, it's right there with, Michael Jordan, who won 6, Tom won 7. Yeah, nothing really touches it in the NFL. I mean, that's for certain. And, when you start comparing other sports, that's always hard. So all we really have to, we just compare the number of championships. And he's got 7, Jordan's got 6, and Bill Russell's got more than both of them. I don't know that, I mean, it's a great question. It's a great question to debate, and I'm sure we'll be doing that, in the immediate aftermath of, assuming he does make this announcement. But I just look at it like this is by far the greatest career any NFL player's ever had, and I don't even think it's close.
I love on Twitter how you answer Hall of Famers by saying they don't have Hall of Famers to cover Kelsey, and I like the fact that Carl Banks and I both have had the same question during the game. But you are a Hall of Fame voter, Gary, and I'm every time the finalist list comes out, David and I do the same thing every year. We just name the guy and go yes or no. And I don't know if there's ever been a year, and I'm talking in the 15 damn years we've been working together, where there's not at least 10 yeses. So can you just give us a level of difficulty of this room? You're going to sit down and you're going to put 5 guys in the Hall of Fame here, of just how excruciating it is for all of you, because this list is full of Hall of Famers, Gary.
Yeah, it is. And just in the interest of full disclosure, we voted 2 weeks ago. They changed the whole process. It used to be we would vote the day before the Super Bowl at the Super Bowl site. And now they're going to make the announcement on February 10th, which is a Thursday night, at NFL Honors. That used to be Saturday night, as you remember. Now it's Thursday night. So, they had us vote a couple of weeks ago, and now they're doing the door-knocking routine to inform the 5 who got in. Obviously, I'm not at liberty to tell you who they are, but I think any year that we start discussing them, all 15 who are finalists are Hall of Famers. You don't get that far in the process because you haven't had a Hall of Fame career. So some years it's a little bit easier than others because there are a couple of guys that just jump off the page at you, like Peyton Manning last year, and then obviously guys like Jerry Rice and Dion, Brett Favre, that we don't really have any discussion about them because they're so obvious, and it'll be that way for Brady, clearly, and others. But this year, I think you could have just thrown, a dart at a board and hit any 5 and say, okay, that's a pretty good class.
Gary, quickly, what is it about Brady that made him different? He wasn't the greatest athlete. There have been guys with stronger arms. There's been guys even who have been more accurate. Why is it that he was the best ever?
Well, this is going to sound like a real cliche, and I hate to talk like that, but it's really difficult after you measure the height and the weight and the speed and the strength and all those different measurables that they have at the combine. It's really difficult and nearly impossible to measure somebody's heart and their competitive drive and their will to win. And that's what really separated him in this generation. He felt slighted at Michigan. He felt slighted after he was a 6th-round pick. And he just had this inner drive that he carried for over 20 years in the NFL to prove people wrong. And it's amazing how long he was able to sustain that. Even after he won those 3 championships in the 4-year period in his first 5 years in the league, he still went out to practice every day trying to prove to Belichick that he was the best quarterback for the team, for the Patriots. And that's such an unusual mindset to have, but I think it's what has helped. I think that's what helped sustain him for such a long period of time. He took nothing for granted. He loved every minute he was on the field, including practice, and had this just incredible competitiveness about him that lifted him in crunch time moments. So that's what I would say separated him, because it wasn't the physical ability. Although his arm got stronger as he went on, and it seemed like he became a little bit better of an athlete as he went on. But I think it's just the whole stuff that's inside of him that separated him.
Gary, once again, thanks for making time for us. We really appreciate it. Good luck getting through the snowstorm, and hopefully we can talk again down the road, maybe even after the Hall of Fame vote has been revealed.
That sounds great, guys, and I always appreciate when you have me on.
Gary Myers, Pro Football Hall of Fame voter, authored the book Brady versus Manning, a New York Times bestseller. Follow Gary on Twitter, Gary Myers NY, Gary Myers NY. For those of you in Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, Venice, this concludes our broadcasting day. For those of you in the 239, the bonus hour is next. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
We've hit the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, still has huge cash prizes up for grabs.
This week, new customers can get on the game and play free for millions with their first deposit. There are only a few weeks of football left, so draft your squad now.
Playing daily fantasy football is simple. Just pick your lineup of NFL stars, staying under the salary cap, and score enough points to bring home cash.
And with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes, you'll feel the action of the divisional round like never before.
DraftKings, safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want.
Download the DraftKings app now and use the promo code M&M to play free for millions. That's right. Enter promo code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. Get in the action for the divisional round only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So literally my favorite thing here is now
Yeah.
you got Ryan Beasley's wife that's like in that office on the back hallway.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one when I ran into Ryan and whatever her name is at the fort there for the Yingling. Hey, she says, "Hi, I'm so-and-so." And I looked her dead in the eyes and I go, "Yeah, we worked together for a year." When I walk by, if she hears me coming, her head just goes down. She doesn't even look up to make eye. It's great. Makes my morning every day. Do you still say GM? You mean as in far as General Motors or General Manager?
Or good morning.
Oh, do I say good morning? No. I don't speak to anybody really and truly in this building if I can help it. No, I don't even bother. No. I say, what's her name again?
Maria.
Maria. I say hi to Maria every single morning because she is a really, really sweet gal.
Adam,
Really
the reason we're not going to talk any Jags coaching search, I don't believe, is nothing has changed since Friday.
I think he might just want to do it during the commercial break. I think Adam just needs 60 seconds out of us right now, David. I think he knows better than during.
I mean, Adam, I'll say this. To me, a recipe for disaster, if they're sticking with Bulky, is to bring in a coach who's never been a coach before. I mean, now I think it's even more imperative. Okay, if Bulky's the train wreck that so many people think he is, then go hire somebody who's been a head coach before and can maybe work around some of the damage Bulky will do. And also somebody that I think Khan may listen to also. that he can say in the interview process, listen, I've been doing this as long as he's been doing his thing. In fact, probably longer. I mean, I think it's hysterical. 25 years ago, I was working in a TV newsroom in Fargo, North Dakota, and Trent Baalke was an athletic director at a high school and was calling in basketball scores. Hey, Trent, how you doing? How'd Shanley do tonight? They lost? Oh, what was the score? All right. Yep, we'll be out there Friday. Have some highlights. Gotcha. Thanks. That's true, Paul. I mean, nothing, I mean, then he took a job, a scout, I think, with Parcells and the Jets, and worked his way up. And I give him all the credit in the world. As two guys who have had to work their way up for every little thing they have.
20 seconds.
Adam, I'm afraid so. It's difficult to explain why it is you're standing by Trent Baalke.
Coming back.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Fourth and final hour of Miller and Moulton. We call it the bonus hour here on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Had a jam-packed last hour with Mo Egger live from Cincinnati. Gary Myers, who knows a lot about Tom Brady, wrote a book about him, hosted many a podcast about him, Pro Football Hall of Fame voter, talking about the Tom Brady retirement story that is out there, whether he believes it, which he does. He just thinks that the cat got let out of the bag a little bit early.
And as you and I pointed out earlier in the show, his longtime assistant, story out over the weekend that he was looking for jobs. That was the one tell that was out, what, Friday, David, or Saturday morning?
I saw it late Friday online on the New York Post. And, I took that two ways, as somebody who does some work with an occupation in which, people have contracts and they're not quite sure which way things are going to go. And they say to you, hey, you have to take care of yourself. If there's an opportunity out there for you, I'll support you, this, that, and the other thing. There was a part of me, Mark, that saw that story and thought, maybe Tom is genuinely unsure of his plans. And as a courtesy to his longtime assistant, he goes, I may decide to stay, but then again, I may not. I don't know. So if, either way, my time is coming to an end here soon. If you can go latch on to one of the young star quarterbacks, go for it. I'll support you.
Can I ask you a little TV question?
Sure.
The first game ends yesterday and it ran a little long. So the Fox pregame got a little bit disjointed. Is there a agreement? Because there was not a lot of postgame, if you will. Like they tie that sucker up and wrap it up in a bow pretty quickly with postgame comments on the field and the like. I know they got to get the trophy up, but it seemed that they cut that short. Is that a courtesy to make sure things get over to Fox in a timely and give them a little bit for their pregame?
Oh, yeah. The NFL says to the early rights holder, if you will, 6:30 Eastern, not a second later. Got it? We're pushing kickback to 6:39, 6:40, 6:41 as it is, but you will be done by 6:27:50 and go to a network break. Got it?
Okay. I figured as much because it is the last broadcast of the year for both networks.
Right.
They have given us months of coverage. They have been intimate friends of us for a long time.
Right.
And they do not get to put a bow on this sucker, if you know what I mean. It is pretty much, we're done, time to go. Hey, hope you enjoyed the year. Goodbye. And when they don't have a Super Bowl, I just thought it seems a little unseemly at the end of the game. And David, you still with me? Because I've frozen up on the screen here, so I don't even know if I've got you right now. You still with me? Okay. All right. Well, this will be an interesting bonus hour then, because I think I've lost my co-host a little bit, Felipe. This could be your one shot at glory.
Am I subbing in right now?
No, you're holding on. You may be calling David and putting him on the phone here ever so shortly, but I know we'll get him back here pretty quickly. And like I said, I thought I lost you. I thought it was going to be an interesting bonus hour there when you went away for a moment. That something always happens in LA, David.
Well, yes, I'm a little surprised this early in the morning. I thought we wouldn't have an internet hiccup between 3 and 7 a.m., but sure enough, the broadcasting god saying, hey, one final remote for you two this football season. I'll just throw, as my grandfather once said, somebody stepped on a coaxial cable.
But like I said, we get months where these are intimate guests in our living room, and it just seemed very unseemly for them to end it. That was all.
And normally the game doesn't go overtime, and they have a little more time, and they're able to get in their final 2 cents and all. It's also it's more of a problem for CBS in this sense. Nance does the trophy ceremony himself, whereas in Fox, Joe and Troy don't leave the booth. Bradshaw has handled the trophy ceremony forever. So, obviously Nance needs time to get down, but then when you've got Tony in the booth and Nance on the field, how do you put the two of them together to say goodbye? Pretty much you don't. You throw it to the set, and then they all say a final word, and that's that. And they had their own problems, obviously, on set yesterday. Famously, I guess at halftime, there was a concert there at halftime at Arrowhead, and it drowned out the entire halftime show for CBS. They were screaming at one another, and apparently nobody could hear a thing.
Wouldn't you think, with the amount of money everybody has into this, that I don't know, David. I mean, I just simply ran a couple of minor league franchises from a promotional standpoint, but these were things that we checked off. You would think a network would be aware of a concert going on at halftime and what the decibel level of said concert would be.
Well, and also where it would be located. Like, is there because there was a concert going on at SoFi also, and I don't know where CBS's set was in relationship to the concert. It seemed really close, or at least really close to the speakers. Fox was able to put their set far enough away where you knew there was entertainment going on behind them, but the show was able to go on. And
unfortunately for me, it was getting snacks and dinner ready during halftime of that first game, David. Armadillo eggs.
Ooh.
I mean, jalapeno stuffed with cream cheese wrapped in sausage, David.
I am surprised that they couldn't get the speaker unplugged.
I was stunned.
I mean, I'm not kidding. Even if by chance they didn't realize it and the halftime thing starts, as soon as it starts, you've got enough support staff. Somebody's got to go over. I mean, Mark, you know what I would have done. I just would have started ripping things out of the wall. I mean, get arrested, whatever the case may be. I don't know what to tell you. I'm here at the halftime show. Nobody can hear the halftime show. I'm unplugging stuff so they can hear the halftime show. You put me in the county lockup, I don't really care. We got to save the halftime show. That's why I'm here.
Well, exactly. You bring everybody on location. That's the whole point of this. And you can't hear them.
Now, I will say there's very rarely halftime entertainment at NFL games, number one. And obviously, number two, somebody didn't explain to them or somebody screwed up and put a speaker where they shouldn't have. I don't know why, as they were wheeling the speaker there, that somebody didn't go, you can't have that on here. We're doing a show.
David, they have a dress rehearsal for these things. That halftime did not happen without a sound check, without something going on. It doesn't work that way in the room.
I know.
So at some point, somebody from CBS got to be there going, hey.
Yeah.
That's
$2
way
billion
too
a year.
loud.
Right. $2 billion a year, by the way, we pay for the rights. So you can't put a speaker there. What do you mean it can't put a speaker there? What part of $2 billion a year are you having trouble understanding? $2 billion a year. We're losing money on this thing. Okay. We got to try to get as much of it back. What is it? The Sprint halftime or whatever the hell their halftime is? Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that was stunning to me, David.
Yeah. I felt badly for them. When they're like top 5 stories in major Sunday papers online. CBS halftime show a disaster. Oh man, really? I mean, when's the last time anybody talked about the CBS halftime show? And the one time they do, they associate the word disaster with it.
I will say there have been a few people in the Twitch chat room, even received a text on it today, David. And I know you didn't see him because you were working. And I am in total agreement with everybody. The USFL promos looked great.
No.
The promos, the league will be an absolute disaster that will not work. But the promos, David, looked phenomenal.
Okay. And I'm not trying to convince you. I am just presenting you with evidence. All right. And I'm wondering if this will change your mind. Fox owns the league as opposed to past spring leagues and what the ownership has been. Fox owns the league. They have $150 million budgeted for 3 years to invest in the league to make a go of it. They got NBC to buy in at least year one and co-televise the games with them.
All right. No, and here's why. And I'm not being smart.
No, I just presented the evidence.
Here's my reasoning behind it. I think that Vince McMahon is a far better promoter of a crap product than Fox is, despite their efforts on so many early runs of television shows that were pathetic that they promoted really well. But they never promoted a bad show into being a great show. I don't believe that they know how. I don't think a big business like that knows how to be cheap the right way to make a business like this work. It's a minor league, and they're treating it like it's a major league. And when you treat minor leagues like a major league, you overpay for people and then end up going out of business. And that's been my fear for all of these leagues. And I don't see anything different in the early stages of this that leads me to believe. Now, I do think, believe it or not, having doubleheaders in Birmingham every week to sell tickets in a football crazy area, if I can at least make sure there's 2 Alabama guys and 2 Auburn guys on every team, maybe you got half a shot, David.
Well, and the reason why I think this has a little bit more of a chance than the rest, besides everything that I just stated, is the fact that I believe they're looking at this as strictly a television product. Whereas, Mark, in the past, it's kind of like, we're going to have 30,000 people at our games and we're going to get the community involved and what have you. And I really think Fox and NBC are just like, I don't know what to tell you. We need spring programming. We're going to view these games, hopefully, as the New Mexico Bowl. If we could get the New Mexico Bowl's viewership for every one of these USFL games, we would be thrilled. You get me 1.7 to 2.3 million on Saturday afternoons, evenings, and Sunday afternoons, April through June. We'll do cartwheels. We don't care if there's 138 people in the stands.
Yeah, and David, you may be right, but unlike the Bowls who have this standard subscription-based audience who pay for their product, no one's paying to get Fox. So that, to me, is the, whether you're right or I'm right, I think it's in that area of where that subscription money, are they, because the television money is in essence to what? Make money for the television station. Well, on top of those profits, they're going to have to run a football league with X number of teams. Is there that much left over in the pile from what they make on television? Remains to be seen.
And I think Adam in the Twitch chat room makes a good point about, clearly there will be NFL scouts at these games, seeing whether or not some of these guys are worth a training camp invite or a mini camp invite, et cetera. It would be good for the league if there were a handful of players every year that, as the NFL season is being watched by tens of millions of people, it's kind of like, hey, this guy came from the USFL. Oh, okay.
And I think David knows this. While I rip on spring leagues all the time, I rip on them because I don't believe they're run right. I do believe that this should work. I just don't think they've ever gone about it the right way. And I think I've been pretty...
you've been proven right.
This has been done.
Yeah, no, Mark, you've been consistent in your thoughts and you've been proven right every time.
But at the same time, you and I both think a spring football league can work.
Well, yeah, we thought the Arena League would be a monster, too. I mean, we thought that was poorly run. I will say, though, this does seem to be the definition of insanity, right? with spring football? I mean, we
Yes.
have tried this seemingly every way but Sunday. We are convinced it will work. And yet there are really only small, you could make the argument the USFL was working. I mean, they were averaging 20,000 people at games for 2-3 years. My goodness, if a spring league did that now, not only would it be considered a success, oh my goodness, they might talk about it overtaking like the NHL in popularity.
Wow. You're on to something there. But then again, they can't figure it out. But hey, Memphis, Birmingham, San Antonio, you and I know the places where it would work.
Totally. Birmingham's a good place to start.
It certainly is.
Number one college football market in the country. They believe football is a 24/7, 365 sport. You might as well give them something April, May, and June. 15 minutes after the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library.
Yeah, but it's a
Daily
small
program prescribed by
Johnny.
golf fitness professionals. The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I mean, if it wasn't for COVID, the XFL could have been a huge success.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
I mean, they were getting games on ESPN.
And Fox. FS1, Fox, ESPN, ESPN2.
Think about how much money they put in to make those deals happen and how in the blink of an eye, it just all exploded.
Yep. And what's interesting is,
There were games on Fox.
and FS1.
They didn't get Buck, did they?
No.
I was gonna say.
Come on now.
Yeah, come on.
Get a hold of yourself.
That's beneath him.
Yes. I think they're trying to get Gus to at least do a few off the beginning. I don't think he'll do it.
I think, yeah. But Gus would be good for that, though. But I think that Gus thinks that that is also beneath him, which you could argue it could.
Well, the other thing is that, it's not part of their contract. So,
right. You'd have to almost like overtime. Mark,
Mm-hmm.
the real estate people that you know, are they with First Key Homes?
No.
Okay. Ryan Ruocco. Is that
Russo.
Mhm. No, Ruocco.
Ruocco?
Yeah, Ruocco.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
look.
Ryan Ruocco is the You Bet guy.
I watched women's college basketball on TV yesterday, David. I just want to let you know.
Who?
A little bit of South Florida, Houston, and then Stanford and Arizona.
I know Stanford won. How was the game?
It was pretty good. It was pretty close. It was on across from your game, I think, or the first game. I just kind of left it on until there wasn't any sports on anymore.
Five seconds. Ryan Ruocco, when I think of him, I always think of Enrique Ngumbawale. He did that. She had back-to-back game winners in the Final Four in the national championship game. I think he did both of those goals.
No. Adam Amin did them both.
Ooh. Yeah, you bet. That's it.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton on this Monday, the final day of January. Thanks for being with us. Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network, about 20 minutes away from the good, the bad, and the ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. All that sort of good stuff. Our poll question, you excited about this Super Bowl matchup? Cincinnati and the LA Rams, one team that was all in when the season began, and another in which I don't know if Cinderella does them justice.
By the way, our audience says this is going to be the most watched Super Bowl ever, even though they're wrong. 85% of our audience says they're loving the new blood in the Super Bowl. 85%.
Wow. NBC would love that.
No kidding.
Because this was the second worst matchup they could get. I mean, they figured Mahomes losing cost them 5, 8, 10 million viewers.
I mean, have to tell you, this is something that the NBC people should be looking at, because it's not the truth of the matter. This game will not do the numbers that our Twitter poll is indicating it will. This won't come close.
Well, 100 million is pretty much the line of demarcation. If a Super Bowl can't do 100 million, it's like, oh boy, wow, this was a bad Super Bowl matchup. So that's the first line of demarcation. Then we start figuring out, with every million, it starts reaching more and more levels.
All right. Well, we have a team from the eastern end of the country that's a small market team, if you will. I mean, Cincinnati is certainly a small market team. With not much of a fan base outside of the greater Cincinnati area. Against an LA team that you would think's a boom, but they don't even like the team in LA. Does this game get to 100 million?
I think it does, and here's why. The last 6 playoff games have been decided by 3, 3, 3, 6, 3, and 3. Mark, to me, you're a cook. I mean, by the time the main course arrives, if you have had the best salad with the best bread, with a great soup, and 2 of the best appetizers you've ever had in your life, all right, if the entree is good, it may pass for very good to great.
So what you're saying is these playoffs have been a Michelin star in food terms. And there's no doubt that you're right with that, David, because come on, who really thought we'd be talking about 2 more spectacular games after the divisional weekend was as good as it was. In fact, David, we talked on our show on midway through the week was like, we haven't turned the page to championship weekend yet because it was hard. And
Right.
aren't you afraid it's going to be a bit of a letdown? And damn, if Kansas City jumps out to a big lead, we're thinking, well, there we go. Here comes our letdown.
Last year's Super Bowl had the lowest total number of viewers since 2006.
Last year is a television year that gets thrown out in the television industry because of the pandemic. That most people in the TV industry, when they do numbers, throw out the 2020 television year, of which the Super Bowl is classified as being a part of. And then they just compare 2021 to 2019. It's, even though we're not post-pandemic, TV viewing has rebounded to pre-pandemic numbers, in some cases more so. And so that's why that one will always have an asterisk next to it, Felipe.
Interesting.
What was the 06 number? Do you have that handy of what the total viewers were in 06?
Yeah, 06 Steelers, Seahawks, 90.75 million. Highest Super Bowl. David, do you know what the most watched Super Bowl of all time is?
Is it still the Bears kicking the Patriots' butt?
No.
Super Bowl 20?
All right, well, then give it to us, because trivia is not that good when it's a two. You go back and forth for radio. So if you've got the number, Felipe, could you give it to us, please?
The Patriots Seahawks 2015, 114 million.
Yeah, came down to the final seconds. That'll do it.
The other sports things that went on this weekend, I know they're a little bit more irrelevant. Nadal gets to 21, winning the Aussie early yesterday morning. And the U.S. men's soccer team froze up a little bit.
Well, they were north of the border, so, it was cold.
They can beat, El Salvador and Columbus, but can't beat the Canadians in Hamilton.
Right. I will say the Canadians are leading their group. All right. And they were in first place in the group before the match began. But U.S. with not a lot of margin for error right now.
Right. They've got one more in this little 3-gamer this week. And then the final set, they'll play Costa Rica, which isn't a gimme. So they have to be in the top 3 to qualify. If they are not in the top 3, then they go in that, playoff for 2 teams for 1 spot thing?
Right. So right now they're tied for second. They would be in the World Cup if the old playoffs started today. But 4 matches left. I think they need to get 3 wins. They need to get 9 points out of the deal to secure their spot. I mean, maybe 7 would do it. Maybe 2 wins, a loss, and a tie would get it done. But play it safe. Win 3 of your last 4.
Luke List, the winner at the Farmers over the weekend in a playoff. And for those of you that like golf, Pebble Beach is this week. Don't expect to see anybody that you know. The Pebble Beach Pro-Am is a glorified AAA event this week because, all the big boys are over in Dubai or whatever collecting big checks for the tournament over there.
Mark, how close do you think we are to the Florida Swing almost being the unofficial start of the PGA Tour season for the big boys?
You're on to something because I think they'll still go to Hawaii for the cash grab.
Well, if they qualify for Hawaii.
Right.
Obviously the Tournament of Champions people will go. I mean, you make like $64,000 if your plane lands.
Right. So you have that. They'll stick around for this. A lot of them will stick around for the Sony because they're already there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll see a break. Now, I do know a lot of guys like to play Phoenix, which is in a couple of weeks. That's a pretty popular spot for the players.
Yeah, that could be when the season basically starts, in which it's not, this past week, and it's not this coming week, but maybe it's the following week, which is Phoenix is usually Super Bowl weekend, which, I know you and I, knock on wood, are tentatively planning on being out there next year. The Super Bowl's in Arizona. I'm curious, as what they're going to do with that tournament next year. Will they keep it a Thursday through Sunday event, number one? And number two, there was a lot of good press for the PGA Tour event this weekend. That was a Wednesday through Saturday event, that it provided West Coast golf in prime time. CBS aired it in prime time on CBS, thank you very much, Friday night. I think they had to because of their network contracts with the sponsors. But, Mark, that might be where maybe Pebble has to go. Does Pebble need to get moved into prime time on like Friday and Saturday nights?
Possibly, because I don't see it being all the way to Florida, because you got to remember, after the Phoenix, you've got the LA Open. I know it's the Genesis Invitational now, but that's a pretty big stop on tour.
Because it's
Legendary
Riviera.
course,
Right.
They all love it. So there's still something to that California, that West Coast swing. But the problem is that the players hate the Pro-Am. No one will come out and say that, because the Pro-Am's the lifeblood of how this tour makes money. But they all are fine with Pro-Ams on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. When they start getting into Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they're not as into it. And I don't even think it's the playing with the amateurs as much as it's a 6.5 hour round.
Yeah.
It's a long day.
Yeah, they'll play with a 15 handicapper as long as the 15 handicapper can, move it along and get out of the way quickly. Miller and Moulton, 28 minutes before the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Some final thoughts on a Bengals-Rams Super Bowl. How about that? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Round of the NFL playoffs, and DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, still has huge cash prizes up for grabs.
This week, new customers can get on the game and play free for millions with their first deposit. There are only a few weeks of football left, so draft your squad now.
Playing daily fantasy football simple. Just pick your lineup of NFL stars, staying under the salary cap, and score enough points to bring home cash.
And with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes, you'll feel the action of the divisional round like never before.
DraftKings, safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want.
Download the DraftKings app now and use the promo code M&M to play free for millions. That's right. Enter promo code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. Get in the action for the divisional round only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So the Jags are now interviewing the former Raiders head coach.
Bisaccia there?
Bisaccia, yeah. Klecko, I'm just hoping McNeil gets in. I looked at the list. He's like 8th alternate right now.
Based on everybody who's with the Raiders, they said he was a really good leader of men, which is what I think
David, I know you probably don't have this, but the 88, the Super Bowl 22 in San Diego, Herb Albert with your anthem and Chubby Checker performed the halftime show.
Nice.
Right?
Mm-hmm. I don't have a lot going on this day, Mark.
All right. I got my 3. I got one omission that I know you won't have because it's fun and it has nothing to do with really good history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, O'Mara's in his mid-60s. I don't think he's winning anything. And I don't think Phil's in Pebble. He's part of the cash grab.
Yeah, he's in the cash grab.
Yeah. He's like headlining it. Him and DJ, I think.
One minute.
Yeah, Phil's not playing well right now. No, I don't think Gruden ever gets another head coaching job.
I second that.
Especially since he's suing the league.
Yeah, Jason Day, Matt Kuchar, Daniel Berger, Jordan Spieth.
10 seconds.
Is this all Pebble?
Kevin Kisner, Justin Rose.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Make sure you vote on our poll questions at that Mark Miller, at the David Moulton on Twitter. So are you fired up for this Super Bowl matchup? Bengals and Rams. Yeah, love the new blood. No, I miss Tom. Those are your choices. At that Mark Miller, at the David Moulton.
Nobody misses Tom.
Huh.
I wonder if that was just phrasing there, David. I wonder if I wrecked this vote by putting Tom's name in there.
I don't think so at all. I really don't. If anything, I think you helped garner more no votes, to be honest.
86% of the vote says they're excited about new blood. I don't believe any of them.
Well, we'll see.
We shall see.
Right now it is time for...
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul, to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When...
Well, it was on this date, January 31st in 1865, that Congress ratified the 13th Amendment. You know, the abolition of slavery. 1950, President Harry Truman publicly said, "Ha, you thought Hiroshima and Nagasaki were something. I'm going to build me a hydrogen bomb." That scared the you-know-what out of the world. 1953, Mark. New York, Cleveland, and Boston in Major League Baseball all retaliate at Bill Veeck. Why they retaliated, I'm not so sure. But it forced his St. Louis Browns to play afternoon games. And by doing so, the Yankees, Indians, and Red Sox didn't have to share their TV revenue. So there. 1961, The Misfits. Don't know how many of you have ever seen the movie. It debuted on this date 61 years ago. It's significant because it was the final movie for both Clark Gable and Marilyn Monroe.
That is significant.
Yeah. On this date in 1966, Margaret Smith won her 7th consecutive Australian Open, and Roy Emerson won his 4th consecutive Australian Open. 1981, Mark. I don't want to say we were doing a lot of drugs throughout the 70s into the early 80s, but there's a reason why Nancy Reagan pleaded with us to just say no. Because on this date in 1981, Blondie's "The Tide is High" was the #1 song in the nation.
What's wrong with Blondie?
There's nothing wrong with Blondie. That song being #1 is re-damn-diculous.
Well, I don't think it's because we were doing a lot of drugs. It's because you were able to pay disc jockeys with a lot of drugs in order for them to play that song on the radio.
Once again, the drugs is the common denominator here. Okay, "The Tide is High" does not reach #1.
I'm going to be your only one, David. Come on.
The tide is high, and that was not the only thing that was high on January 31st of 1981. It was on this date in 1988, Doug Williams and the Redskins. This was a historically significant Super Bowl, the whole first black quarterback thing. That was actually a thing for a very long time. And Doug Williams said, yeah, okay, 42-10 over Denver. Take your black quarterback thing and deal with it. Mark, this is a special day for you, me, and probably about 17 other goobers out there. On this day in 1990, The National began publishing.
Made the hair on my arm stand up with that one. It was the short run, but it was the greatest damn paper ever.
Felipe, look it up. You would have loved it. I believe it went about 17 months. It was the National Sports Daily newspaper. Very high costs to be able to cover all the time zones. And so you would go and pick it up on your newsstand at 6:30 a.m. in the Eastern time zone, and you didn't miss anything that was going on out west. I mean,
were they based out of anywhere?
No, I mean they were national. Then they started region hubs. There was a Detroit one and a Miami, and they had 6 or 8 cities that gave a little more coverage on those teams. But I mean, literally one full page, like a New York Post style paper, not a Naples Daily newspaper, but a New York Post tabloid style paper, if you will, that had like one page that would have just a story on whoever, Heat versus Raptors. That page was it. Oh my God, it was glorious.
That's awesome.
And not only
you can stay. I mean, I couldn't even pay attention for the first 45 minutes, and I was just getting started with the National.
And the other thing that they did was they hired, in a lot of markets cases, the best, most popular writer that was in that market. I mean, you take a look at certain guys' legendary careers, and they had like an 18-month little journey, and it was the National. And then they went right back to writing for the LA Times or whatever it is that they did. Mark, it was on this day, and I was at the game. This is when Michael Jackson performed at halftime. It was Super Bowl 27. It was the first Cowboys-Bills Super Bowl. The dynasty gets underway 52-17. Also, Jim Courier won his second consecutive Australian Open on this day in 93. Two noteworthy events on this day in 1999. The Super Bowl was in Miami. John Elway's last game. Broncos 34, Falcons 19. And that night, Mark, as the Super Bowl was going on, Fox debuted this show, Seth MacFarlane, Family Guy.
Wonder how that did.
And finally, on this day in 2000, for those that don't know the full story, all right. Uh-oh. I lost my spot. Here we go. A fight between Ray Lewis and his companions and another group of people results in the stabbing deaths of Jacinthe Baker and Richard Lawler. It results in the indictment of Lewis for 11 days on murder and aggravated assault charges. Lewis doesn't give up his friends and accomplices. They end up having to drop the charges. They release him. I think he pled guilty to a misdemeanor count of not cooperating.
And for those that think that Ray Lewis killed somebody, it's not true. He covered up for his friends who killed somebody.
Exactly. And the significance is almost a year to the day later, Ray Lewis is leading the Ravens into winning the Super Bowl. And that's when the legend, good, bad, and otherwise, of Ray Lewis really began to take shape. And at 13 minutes before the hour, gentlemen, that was the starting five.
All right, I got a couple of things here that I think you missed, and I may have just missed you doing this one, David. But today in 1949, the first daytime soap on TV, These Are My Children, NBC in Chicago.
I did see that.
The other one that I can't believe that you missed, today in 1958, also on NBC, Jackpot Bowling premieres with Leo DeRocher as the host.
That's right. A baseball manager.
Yes.
Hosting a game show, essentially.
Jackpot Bowling. And finally, it was today in 1970 that the Grateful Dead are arrested for possession of LSD and barbiturates. It would inspire the song Truckin'. They had run afoul of mob interest in Texas, and apparently the mob alerted the New Orleans Police Department, which explains the line in the song, Houston, too close to New Orleans, set up like a bowling pin.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
All right, I had this guy who used fortune cookie numbers to win $4 million in a lottery thing, which is all great. But there's a real good right now for those of you that like to eat. Apparently, Domino's, starting now through May 22nd, is tipping customers $3 if they order online and choose carryout. There is such a lack in delivery drivers that they are paying you to pick up your pizza. I did that for Felipe and David Moulton. I'm not sure about the rest of you.
Do they need me? Pressed into action? I'm back, baby.
For the bad, we go to Mount Pleasant, Michigan, home of Central Michigan University. Sun Bowl champions this year, David. They mistakenly sent out a message to 58 potential students that they had won full ride scholarships that include room and board. In fact, one of the kids was so excited that mom posted it on social media, only to find out that apparently it was sent out inadvertently as school staffers were testing a new messaging technology. I will say, give CMU some credit, because apparently they have apologized for their error, and they have offered all 58 prospective students an equivalent of a full tuition scholarship.
Wow.
Yeah, that's taking a bad and making it good instead of ugly, if you know what I mean.
Nice job.
Finally, the ugly, we go to Seymour, Connecticut, where a homeowner was out with a garden torch trying to melt the snow. Needless to say, he started a house fire.
I'm sorry.
The Seymour Fire Department issued a Facebook post in which they said, as imaginable, we do not recommend the use of a garden torch or any similar devices as an attempt to melt ice. And that, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly today, this last day of January 2022.
NBA tonight. Heat are in Boston. Celtics are a 3.5-point favorite. Help me out here. Don't the Heat have the best record in the East?
That is correct.
Okay, so I get the best team in the East in points. I think I got to take this, don't I?
We'll all know if you don't watch by Felipe's mood in the morning if the Heat do not win. Would this be, in your estimation, a bad loss? Because the Celtics are playing
Well, the Celtics are healthy. And when the Celtics are healthy, they're a borderline playoff team. So I'd say it'd be more of a disappointing loss than a bad loss. We're also about to start a road trip.
What?
Oh,
Where are you going?
We are about
Where are you
really.
going?
Oh yeah, I'm going.
Where's the show going? I did
Right.
not know the show was. I had no news of the show going anywhere.
Yeah, I'll be remote.
We're about to start a road trip.
We're about to start a road trip.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in Los Angeles. Does this count? College hoops tonight. Duke and Baylor are both in action. A couple of top 10 teams. They're going to play on the 4-letter network at 7 and 9 if you're interested. Hockey. Florida's in Columbus. The Panthers are a very entertaining team. If you remotely like hockey, you should know that. And if you don't know that, you need to start paying attention. One of 5 games in the NHL this evening. And that's pretty much it. No more tennis. Golf on hiatus. There's one football game left. Bada bing, bada boom. Tomorrow's February. It'd be nice if baseball would step to the forefront here and actually get their you-know-what in order.
I don't see that happening, David. But as you mentioned, Baylor playing, they're a 14-point favorite. They lost their last game in that little SEC Big 12 challenge, losing to Alabama in Alabama.
By the way, the SEC took the Big 12 out back.
They really and truly did. Well, it's an everything conference now.
Yes, it just means more, Mark. I will say, I did not know this before kickoff. And listen, I picked the Chiefs to win. I picked the Chiefs to cover. However, if I had known that Howard Hessman, Dr. Johnny Fever on WKRP in Cincinnati, had passed away before the AFC Championship game, I think I would have loaded up every dollar I had in my wallet on the Bengals to at least cover.
And I mean this from the bottom of my heart, David. Booger.
Is it officially an underrated show, or is it a cult classic and therefore cannot be considered underrated?
Cult classic. Short run, not very many seasons. And the fact of the matter is that you can mention the Thanksgiving episode, the turkeys falling from the sky, and most everybody that's over the age of 50 years old knows exactly what you're talking about. And those that are under should watch and learn.
There were 14 of us in a van being transported from SoFi back to the hotel after the game. 14 of us. I was arguably I was the second oldest person in the van. I found out about Howard Hessman passing away on my phone, and I just said, and people were like, oh, and half the bus was like, who? What? And I, of course, just said out loud, even though it wasn't his line, as God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly. 2 people chuckled. I went, oh, man, I got to get out of this van.
You needed to take him right in front of a computer and put on YouTube and start educating younger people about the importance of that great show. I hope all of you have a wonderful day today. The Cincinnati Bengals are going to the Super Bowl. Wow.
Unbelievable.
Miller and Moulton. We'll do it again tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. on the Florida Sports Network.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets